Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the FS1 2024 round 9 of the championship. My name is round 8. Sorry, I'm getting my numbers mixed up because I was missing last time. But yeah, there we go. Mistake out of the way after my extended break. But nevertheless, the regular team is back after Caitlin was very generous to sub in for me 2 weeks ago. It is Ed Hunter beside me in the commentary box, and Remco Zeeuw is the broadcast director once again. So Ed, welcome back after you were here as normal. How are you keeping after the 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think you can be forgiven because we've seen so much action that you'd be absolutely forgiven thinking we've had an extra round in. But yeah, Austria now is awaiting us. We had a very, very good pair of races in Spain at Barcelona. Barcelona, not usually a track you associate with close racing, but we had plenty of close battles for the lead, with Simon Frelick on his return getting 2 podium positions for the Grifone team, and their first win, of course, as well. But it's Mike Quint was able to just extend that championship lead over Victor Ivanov to 38 points, of course. So you have to say, for Multiforce GP, they're going to be going in feeling pretty confident, especially in Teams Championship as well. They're only 4 points behind Netrex now. So in both tables, it's absolutely game on, and we can't discount Frank Hamming either, who has continued his strong form after getting his first win in race 2 at Montreal. So I really think it's a 3-horse race in the drivers and 2 very, very good teams right at each other's throats in the constructors.
Yeah, it is an incredible battle at the top with the 2 teams neck and neck, really, Netrex and Multiforce. But MS Performance, they're tagging up very nicely in this opening run here around the Red Bull Ring. Luke Mitchell, of course, there in P3, trying to keep them as honest as possible. But the job, yeah, Tom Satterley, and I saw him, unfortunately, he had an incident among the raft of clashes, I think, in race 2 of Barcelona. So if he can build up momentum here, backed up by his sort of the strong contender for the championship, Victor Ivanov, that would be sensational. He can get right up there with his teammate. On board here with Massimiliano Raboli in command of the Pixelate Esports car. And unfortunately, yeah, he's gone round in the second to last corner. That's going to be a treacherous corner for all of our drivers today. Thankfully, it was just a 360 spin, and he can abandon that lap and try again next time. Lucas Tylene had a purple sector 1 there, but his overall lap was good enough to dislodge Mr. Raboli and go into 7th place. And then Jason Muscat as well has taken the 7th place away from them both now that he's subbing in for Menno Klunt.
Yes, exactly. And he's, of course, not the only one subbing in. We've also got Noah Court, who is driving for HTP, of course, the Dutch driver. So he's right at home, of course. And I'm just looking up his experience. He's not got a whole lot, actually. Just FS2 rounds last year at Saudi Arabia for VMS Sun, and it's where Noah finished 22nd and DNF'd. So he's kind of the Stein Handgraf of this series at the moment, to use a Super League parlance, given Caitlin was in the commentary box not too long ago. But yeah, great to see Noah Court really showing what he can do at FS1 level. It's interesting sometimes when somebody leaps up, and you do see it sometimes in real life as well, when drivers who maybe are a little bit anonymous in Formula 2, especially if it's like we see in Formula 2 in real life at the moment, where they've introduced a new car, and there are certain teams like Prema have not come to grips with it, and you might have seen someone like Ollie Behrman down in 17th in the championship, put him in an F1 car, suddenly he's absolutely flying, because it's a completely different way of driving, and he's a lot more confident because he's been doing all the simulators and all the tests for it as well. So you see it sometimes with these different cars. They require different driving styles. Mateus Maica, speaking of which, who I didn't realize was driving today, is absolutely... He set pole position and won race 1 in FS2, and it's just taken away from him by Simon Frelick there. We are now in the 1:10 zone.
Absolutely, yeah. Shimon breaks the 1:10 barrier there. Very impressively done. And I suppose the point is the Red Bull Ring was not on the 2023 calendar, so I don't have any personal recollection of what happened in 2022 and 2021, the most recent years. FS1 has ran around here. But Alexander Ragoza, who's now in Superlights, he is a specialist of this track. He won the 2 race 2s in the preceding years. But let's see if anyone else can stand up and make these beautiful surroundings their own. in the beautiful region of Styria, I believe it's called in English. So yeah, it should be interesting to see how Mirko Lucchini, for example, gets on. He wants to find a spot in the top 15 for a run at the points. But oh yes, we go a bit of a late showing in the graphics, but it's an excellent P5 for the Alpha Delta driver.
Yeah, and as we just look at Ivanov continuing to light up the timing screens through the first sector, especially impressive, but 2 temps down on Frelick in the middle sector there. So Simon Frelick, who desperately needs to arrest the slide in that Drivers' Championship. Currently quite a way ahead of Mike Quint, who's down in 19th, actually. So this could be a big opportunity for Ivanov to get his championship challenge back on track. Although, oh, dearie me, that's not going to help him, is it?
Absolutely not. He's gone through 110% commitment in the last corner, and it's gone horrifically wrong, to say the least.
He's still going to finish the lap.
He wants to finish the lap in the Olympic spirit. He wants to complete this lap no matter what it takes.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's not going to be registered at all well, but fair play to him. He committed, and he will telepit and try again, I'm sure. Lucas Tylene again. He's looking pretty strong. But now that he's 16th, he'll probably feel this is the lap he's got to hook together. Even with the amount of time, he'll feel like they can do 5 or 6 laps pretty handily around here, given it's less than 70-second lap, or they're about 71 seconds to complete the laps. You can do it pretty quickly. Let's see if Tylene can indeed pull out the stops and challenge for the top 5 or better. Oh, we hit the curbs there.
As Island takes plenty of curb at the last corner. And let's see, as he powers the line, can he do better than 17th? Yes, he can. It's only 16th, though.
Yeah.
So a brilliant first sector. That last sector, a little bit too much curb, a little bit erratic from Luca Filan, but he is always bringing the drum whenever he gets behind the wheel, fair to say. You said, Eoin, you couldn't remember what happened in 2020. I've just looked it up. So we've actually got 3 former winners of the Austrian Grand Prix in FS1 in the field with us. One of them is Frank Hamming, who won for HGP in race 1 in 2022. Winner of race 2 was Alexander Ragosa for Gallery 82, who've since moved up the league tables, of course, to Super Lights. The other winners in 2021, Chris Butcher won for THR. He's since, of course, moved to, I think he's driving for Kings at the moment, and he's 3rd fastest currently. So that's good timing there as we look at Amari Watson finishing his lap. The other winner, previous winner of this event, is, of course, Jason Muscat for Malta Force, as Amari Watson completely drops it on exit there. Just a little bit too much curb, and round she went.
Yeah, we could see a lot of that, particularly in race conditions, if drivers eager to get pushing for a position, run out a bit wide, maybe they'll be tempted with the DRS boost to try and get a little bit extra performance. There we go, Frelick showing us how it's done in turn 9, but turn 10 similarly enough, he's down on his split, but he does gain the time back. It is an improvement, minuscule improvement, but 1/10 of a second is nothing to be too greedy about. That is a very, very good time.
Interesting, yeah, he didn't really nail the middle sector, but first and final sectors were superb there. But somebody who has nailed the middle sector is Tom Zavali. Can he get himself back onto provisional pole? No, he just misses out then by 1/10 and a half from Simon Frelick as he just jumps Matthias Micah to get himself onto the front row there. So Tom Zavali, who's not had the greatest of fortunes in recent history, as we pointed out, certainly having a much, much improved qualifying. And it looks like him and Victor Ivanov have really worked at this track to try and address their weaknesses here. We also saw a message in the chat. Noah Court's father, John Court, is watching along. So hello to John. Let's hope that Noah Court has a good debut here in FS1. 9th on the grid at the moment, just in between the 2 Netrexes of Watson and Smith, who are, of course, fighting and leading that team's championship at the present moment. Here's Owen Kilhausvik, 100-1. So close to their first point of the season in Spain, but Owen just missed out. Can he get anywhere near the top 15 with this effort? It's the 14th fastest, just behind James Knox, who is subbing in at Buildzim Volpino there. It's Parallax Volpino, I should say. That's the old name of the team. So, but nonetheless, very, very tidy lap there from Kilhausvik, who's really been the leading light of that team. And it seems every event they get closer and closer to the points. This could be the one where their efforts are finally rewarded. I
sincerely hope so. It would be really encouraging to have them up and among the battles as Federico Russo unfortunately found the sand trap at turn 4. So he'll have to abandon this lap and find out exactly what could have gone wrong and how to rectify it as soon as he can. Luke Mitchell is in an interesting lap here at the moment. He'll try and get into the 1:11 zeros. That will get him onto the front row behind Frelich. Oh, and a bit of lag there. That looked scary for a moment, but yeah, it looks like this lap has been spoiled, and the lag may have contributed towards that. So you'll have to abandon. Any other interesting names I can see? Karatko there for VMS Sun Edits was down in sector 2, I think. Yeah, it's not going to be representative at all, unfortunately. Good lap for Tylene, I think. Has he improved? Yes, he has, from 19th to 14th. So again, the Super Swede is chipping away and figuring out how to get that car into the points.
Yeah, such a short lap here that they do come in pretty thick and fast, and as we see Ivanov just going a little bit off track at turn 3, absolutely pushing the limits there, and unfortunately it's cost him time though, so it could come down to the final 2 runs for Ivanov to try and get himself out of the top. We were talking about him sort of being near the front row earlier. Now he is just about hanging into the top 10, isn't he? So that's how quickly things can change around here, and there's a fair bit of track evolution, I think, during the course of this qualifying session, where it's slowly sort of rubbered in on the racing line as more and more cars have gone out there. So yeah, that's certainly why we're seeing it so topsy-turvy at the moment, and that effect is amplified on such a short lap, where it's really going to come down to who is still running right at the end when the track's at its best, I think. But Frelic's lap looking pretty set, still the only man in the 110s at the moment.
Yeah, he sits alone for this remaining 2 minutes thus far. If Amari Watson on this flying lap can challenge and build upon his impressive run in Spain, I think he got reverse grid pole, for example, converting that into a 2nd place. So yeah, let's see if it will pay off for him and the Netrex team. Noah Court there found a little bit of time, but it didn't improve his position, so he'll try and try again here to see if he can get HGP motoring after the likes of Frank Hamming. I don't think he's had a chance to set a time, so Frank Hamming is in the server, but he's leaving it to the last second to set a time. That'll be pressure situation, I'm sure. Amari doesn't actually complete that lap, so he'll have to try again, running out of time before the checkered flag.
Yeah, sounds like Frank Hamming may have just got back from work or something, because him and Daniel Scott currently with no times on the board, and with less than a minute to go, it looks like they may have to start from the back of the grid then. But nonetheless, Matthias might get just behind his best, but a few tenths off. It looks like he might have to settle for the 2nd row, which would still be spectacular. Remember, this is the man who was near the very, very top of the timing table in pre-season testing as well. And it's great to see him, after running so well in FS2, getting another shot in FS1. Same with Karatko as well, who had a pretty horrible FS2 race for my Hunter Perch team on Tuesday, where he got taken out and then just missed out on the points, starting from the back of the grid. As we see Russo, who was in the gravel earlier, getting up to 9th position ahead of the Netrex of Omari Watson there. So good lap near the end for Alpha Delta, as we look at Bradley Sellers trying to match his teammate Luke Mitchell here, doing a good job in the 1st sector, a little bit down in the 2nd, and that's what's decided it for him. Looks like Brad is going to have to start from 22nd position.
I'm sure he'll feel a little bit disappointed about that. He has lost another place since. Yeah, what he needs to do is find a decent strategy. Tire wear should be reasonable around the Red Bull Ring. It is a short track, and the weather conditions nice and toasty, so it should mean you can get good performance out of whatever compound of tire you prefer. Servinsky here for Kings wants to see what Chris Butcher has already achieved and get close to it. This could be potential. Oh, just the last sector let him down, and he overtakes Sellers for that 22nd spot. Yeah, Butcher, he's got this last opportunity himself. So close and yet so far. So he's the quickest driver on our leaderboard that's still out on track. And now, unfortunately, that lap is totally out of the window. It's not going to register anything valuable, I'm afraid.
Yeah, interestingly, the second Griffon, driven by Damien Cardas, you see Harry Smith just chucking it through the final corner then to try and sneak back into the top 10. Can he do it? No, it's only top 12. Or Harry Smith just ahead of Noah Court, who'll be probably a little bit annoyed to lose the position right at the death there. But Cardas set a 21.1, which was the fastest final sector of anybody, but he's only 19th on the grid then. So that really shows you the first two sectors are really where the time is won and lost. It's only tiny milliseconds in sector 3 really, because it's such a flat out final sector effectively with no real braking zones.
Without a doubt. So there we go. Szymon Frelick got the perfect balance of a lap time there. The 1 minute 10s proving unbeatable, but really impressive stuff here for MS Performance. They've got,
I think that's practice. Sorry. That's practice.
Practice.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Ivanov is 8th, not 2nd. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's spot on now. So Tom Satterley, absolutely wonderful to see him competing among the top honours here. That could be his chance for his first podium of the season. Mateusz Maszka subbing in there for Pixelite. Mike, I think you pronounced it Ed, so he's third. Chris Butcher fourth. Mitchell, Quint, Karatko, Ivanov, Russo, and Watson are the top 10. And another two drivers within half a second of pole. It was Mirko Lucchini and Harry Smith. Then in the points, we've Noah Court, Paweł Andruski, and Eoin Hausvik. They are in contention for points as things stand. Lucas Tylene, Jason Muscat, James Knox, Damien Karat, and Massimiliano Raboli have their eyes on those points from the top 20. And our final column, we have Matthew Dabrowski, Philip Servinski, Bradley Sellers, Brody Lawless, David DeVries, and then the last driver to set a time was Robin Mulling. Frank Hamming and Daniel Scott are in session, but unfortunately did not actually register any time, so they may have to settle for the very back row and see what, or the back row and one last slot on the grid, Ed. So that'll be a long slog for them with the pretty sizable distance in front of them, despite it being a short track.
Yeah, I think a pretty nightmare qualifying for both the rookie monsters. Daniel Scott didn't quite show up in time to get on track. Rob Mulling setting a time right at the end, only 6 seconds off the pace as well. So certainly plenty of catching up to do. But Frank Hamming is probably the most likely to make ground, given that he has a bit of a history of qualifying a little bit further down the field and then just picking them off one by one and getting placed. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Frank Hamming sneaking into the points, potentially maybe even getting on the verges of the top 10 by the end of race 1, which will be absolutely crucial for him going into race 2 there. So this is all really about damage limitation for Frank Hamming. But for Mike Quinn, we didn't talk about him much in that qualifying session. That's 6th place to jump 2 places ahead of his championship rival Victor Ivanov. That's a very important lap for Mike Quinn, because up to that point he was looking very vulnerable, and now we could be in for a very close race with Damir Karatko sort of in between both of them on his first appearance in FS1. So the Serbian is going to be looking ahead of him and looking behind him and trying not to get caught in the middle of their titanic title battle. But great opportunity for the likes of Chris Butcher, Luke Mitchell and Micah in 3rd, 4th and 5th, and Savily too for that matter, with Frelick I think probably the favourite to win race 1, as he did at Barcelona as well.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, the fact that Mike Quint has certainly taken a lot of initiative in the championship. He's almost an entire race weekend clear in the championship. He'd need to be 40 points clear for that, plus the fast lap bonus point that could take it up to 42, but being 38 points clear, nevertheless he's been practically able to reach the podium in every at least once in every round of the championship thus far. From Australia all the way to Spain, he has featured on the podium at least once in either race 1 or race 2. And Victor Ivanov, of course, being absent for the San Marino Grand Prix, that has hurt his chances a little bit. But if he can figure out this Red Bull Ring in good time, we will definitely be optimistic heading into the first of the July races in Great Britain, that there is still very much a championship on the line.
Yeah, he was very uncharacteristically, I don't want to say sloppy, but there was just a few errors sort of creeping in, and the pace wasn't quite there for Ivanov in Barcelona, which very much surprised me because I've seen him race there before and do pretty well. He won there in when he's the reigning FSR Pro champion. He won. That was his first race win of that season as well. So it's not like he doesn't know how to drive there. It just felt like things didn't quite click. Sick in both races, unfortunately, and he was on the alternate strategy in race 2, like we saw in Montreal. Remember where he was able to get up to second and make the tires last. In Barcelona, he wasn't able to do that. Had to pit, and then sort of tripped up over people as he was going through the field. Luckily, still enough life in the tires to get that top 6 in the end. But you just got to feel that Ivanov is going to be very, very keen to remind people what he's capable of at his absolute best here in Austria. And yeah, but I think with Mike Quinn ahead of him, he's going to have quite the job to do. And let's not forget about Jason Muscat, of course. As I said, a former winner here in 2015 for Multiforce, of course. And in Multiforce, of course, celebrated their 400th GP. Got that 1-2 with Menno Clont taking his first FS1 win ahead of Mike Quint, who's won a number of times this season in, of course, race 2 in Australia, race 1 in Canada, and race 3 in Spain last time out as well. So with that team's championship on the line as well, it's going to be so crucial to get Muscat somewhere near or ahead of both Netrex cars, ideally, with Quinn already starting ahead of them.
Yeah, there's certainly no easy substitution duties for team boss Jason Muscat. He's stepped up where Menno cannot attend today. So it was really important to see how he can get on now that he is back behind the wheel. That's a big responsibility to make sure he can assist Mike Quint as best he can and score points to keep Multiforce chugging along in the team's championship. And yeah, other interesting points. Certainly KKR. Thailand needs to try and get into that top 15, keep them clear of Griffon, for example. And then Hyperion, of course, had a superb run in Barcelona, getting the top 5 for themselves with Andruski. That was absolutely superb from what I saw in the highlights from my research. If they can have Andrzejewski pushing on once again, so far so good in this warm-up, and yeah, can break past that 100 points barrier before too long. And here he is on board.
And there is Andrzejewski, Hyperion, of course, who very recently just lost the Esports Endurance Championship to Go Team Racing after being the reigning champions last season. They just narrowly lost it in the final round. They went in 6 points ahead, came out 6 points behind in the LMP2 Pro class. So Hyperion having licking their wounds after that, will be looking to recover here. And like I say, Andrzejewski showed incredibly well, put an amazing move on Ivanov, of all people, in Spain as well. And he was called up at the last minute too to drive on that occasion. He's had much more preparation here. So yeah, Andrzejewski could be one to watch then as he claws his way through the field once more. The man who qualified very well on the front row, Tom Saverly, he's going to be someone with a lot of pressure on him because he's shown a lot of pace, but unfortunately his results have been a little bit up and down, haven't they? With no podiums to speak of yet this season. And Saverly, who's his best result, in fact, is only a 13th position from race 1 in Canada and race 1 in Barcelona as well. He's had a number of DNFs and unlucky incidents too. So starting on the front row, this is a great opportunity to banish all the memories of those incidents and such, and to have a very, very clean run. And MS Performance, if they want to get involved in the team's championship, they really need to catch up because they are nearly 40-50 points behind Netrex right now, their sister team. And so Saverly can start scoring consistently. Ivanov is certainly going to be bringing in the points, and it could really open things back up for them. So yeah, as much as Netrex and Multiforce worrying about each other in the team stable, they might be just looking over their shoulder, especially after that qualifying performance from Saverly.
Indeed, yeah, MS Performance, absolutely no joke in terms of their bid to win both the drivers and teams championship.
As a debut team as well.
Yeah, and the fact that they have been formed from practically from scratch, and they've been offered the grid slot here in FS1, and they've taken it with both hands. They've been incredible with Ivanov and his streak of pole positions and race 1 victories. But yeah, the job now is for Tom to show exactly what he's made of and to get himself a representative result that we can say, yes, that is the quality that Tom Satterley possesses. I just noticed in our YouTube chat for all of our current viewers, we have a poll to ask you who will win race 1. There are 3 primary options and an other. So if you have your other candidate, it'd be interesting to hear who you think can book the trend of the qualifying and secure themselves a very valuable race 1 victory now that we're in the summer schedule. Mostly, the vast majority of the tracks all in Western Europe.
Sergio Fletcher says, I think he mentions Ivanov and then writes, I think in Russian there, so I'm not sure exactly if that's Ivanov to win or something else about Ivanov. But yeah, I think Ivanov and Quint probably, of those starting outside the first 2 rows, they've probably got to be the standouts that can maybe compete for victory as well. But in Austria, it's so easy, especially on the first lap, for everything to bunch up. If someone near the front of the field spins, it could cause absolute chaos like we saw in FS2. So the FS1 field has really got to have their wits about them. And those lower down, if there's a lot of chaos ahead, you can expect the likes of Eoin Kielhausvik, Brody Lawless, maybe Dabrowski was qualified a bit further down, James Knox as well, sort of in the midfield. They could really profit if things get chaotic too. And I did say it was Karatko's debut. I think he also competed in FS1 at Barcelona and was sent flying by James Knox as well in a very unfortunate incident where James Knox lost control, went across the track and sort of pinballed into Karatko, while they were both running just inside the points, I think, at the time in race 2 as well. And Karatko, after flying high, physically is now flying high in qualifying as well. So great to see he didn't let that horrifically huge crash dissuade him from coming back and giving it another go, as we see Frank Hamming just tried to save it and loop it around, but somehow keeping it out of the wall.
Yeah, he's got to watch his mirrors before the dust settles, ideally, to make sure he doesn't merge out in the path of another driver and causing a repeat of what Ed described in race 2 in the previous fortnight. And from 1 loss of traction, there's also a loss of the top honours, as Chris Butcher has leapt to the top there with a 1 minute 11.9. So qualifying pace and race fuel pace, it's pretty similar thus far. So the cars should be well prepared for the challenges that lay ahead. I believe it's a 35 lap race 1, yes. That's based off 2022, so I imagine that's still the same for today. So yeah, Butcher definitely put in a huge push. He's nearly a second clear of Hamming there. So yeah, if he's revealed what the future may bring, that'll be incredible. But, yeah, it could be a trick as well to put people off the plan A, so it could be giving us a little bit of a ruse as well.
Yeah, I was just looking up to see if this was the first laps that Frank Hamming had done all week, but actually he did set the 13th fastest time in the hot laps across the week, so he's not completely inexperienced, but yeah, certainly just pushing the limits, trying to get into the swing of things. But yeah, Chris Butcher starting on that sort of second, third row, great opportunity to get some much needed points for King's Racing. And yeah, Butcher, of course, former winner of this event with THR. He's certainly not lost any of that skill, and Butcher, who he's had a little bit of a quiet season so far, but certainly this could be the moment where he really rises to the occasion. And also, you're absolutely right, Eoin, 35 laps to race 1, 24 for race 2.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. To give these drivers the ample opportunity to show that they can drive competitively for roughly 45 minutes. And now the race order will be prepared, and we can have our formation lap rundown of our drivers, 28 in all out of a possible 30 in attendance. There we go, the summoning by race direction. We'll see the jumping around on the camera to make sure everyone is out of their garage and onto their appropriate grid slot.
I've just noticed something, Eoin. Daniel Scott didn't set a lap in qualifying, but he has a very good reason for that. It's because he goes into this race with a back of the grid demotion for causing an incident at Barcelona, effectively. Because he had I think Rookie Monsters had a bit of a nightmare race too there as well. So it's sadly not surprising, but hopefully Daniel Scott can have a cleaner race this time from the back. Him and Frank Hamming could well be fighting their way through because they're both very, very good drivers.
And the poll has completed. So we have everyone's predictions logged before race start. Szymon Frelick has won with 42% of the vote. The other category has 31%. Micah 26th, and Tom Satterley, unfortunately for him, you'll have to prove everyone wrong as he got 0% vote for Satterley. But let's see him from the fantastic front row spot he's got. So Frelick is the outstanding favourite with his calibre from the past. Last season, of course, that's on his side. Micah and Butcher, 3rd and 4th. Luke Mitchell, Mike Quint, 5th and 6th. Damir Karatko and Victor Ivanov, 7th and 8th. So there you can see Karatko has a big responsibility to try and dislodge the championship leader. Let's see if he can do it. Then Alpha Delta Netrex pairing. It's Russo, Watson, Lucchini and Smith. In the points, Noah Court, Pavel Andrzejewski and Owen Hausvik. With Lucas Tylene, the first, who will be eager to try and break up that little segment. Jason Muscat, 17th, acting as Menoclon substitute. James Knox, Damien Karatz and Massimiliano Raboli complete the top 20. Mateusz Dabrowski is ahead of Filip Serwinski, 21st and 22nd. Bradley Sellers and Brody Lawless, 23rd and 24th. The final two drivers that set times in qualifying, David DeVries and Robin Mooling. Frank Hamming and, as you said, Daniel Scott has the grid penalty, so he didn't have a reason to set a time. But yeah, Frank Hamming is the big name to watch. I think he's going aggressive in this first stint, but we'll double check that to make absolutely sure. He's a lot of work to do from that 27th position.
And of course, everyone who qualified in the top 15 is obligated to start on the soft tyre then, so it could be some of the less experienced ones that run long on the hards and become a bit of a factor once the front runners pit and end up behind them, depending on how big a lead Simon Frelick can pull at the start here, or indeed if Tom Satterley can challenge. I think the only thing that poll told us at the start is that most of the New Zealand and Kiwi fans are yet to wake up, really. Maybe Tom Satterley can erase them from their slumber with a fantastic performance. Let's see.
Yeah, the time zone not ideal for the Kiwis, but yeah, they'll be cheering him on, I'm sure, in spirit.
In their dreams they will be. Yes.
And their dreams, yes. Great spot and great saying there. It's a long hold for starting lights. Here they come, 5 and all before the run up the hill to Nicky Lauda curve. Here we go. And we're away. It was our potential jump there. That looked like Ivanov. If he nailed that start, that is incredible. But Frelick, so far so good. He controls the pace as Chris Butcher, just in behind, tries to poke his nose ahead of Micah. And it seems like he has completed that move. Nicely played. Luke Mitchell staying competitive in 5th.
Yeah, not a great start for Micah because Butcher has jumped him, but now we see Luke Mitchell having a go at Mateusz Micah as our two title contenders go side by side, and Mike Quint just holds on from Ivanov despite Ivanov's rocket start. Karatko has gotten well out of the way of both of them and is hoping they bump into each other and he can profit essentially. But yes, Mike Quint has unfortunately got these interlopers of Luke Mitchell and Mateusz Micah in the way, and that's sort of going to back him into Ivanov if he can't find a way past them quite quickly in these first few laps, because the slipstream is going to be very, very powerful here. Lots of straights Austria, and there is a good DRS zone going into turn 1 as well from the end of lap 2 onwards. But yeah, for Frelick, perfect start. Savily really just held very much at arm's length, 7/10 behind. And you can see them on screen now. Butcher keeping both of them very, very honest though. So Chris Butcher could be in for a shock result if he can strategically outfox them here.
Without a doubt. And of course, Kings Racing need these points in their battle
to serve a penalty. So he did jump the start, Eoin.
Yeah, that's a slam dunk, I'm afraid. It was spotted immediately by race control. And he knows he'll have to serve the penalty as soon as possible to make up for that time. So as I was saying, tagged in the back, Satterley is spun around, and Chris Butcher now will have to yield, giving up positions to Micah and Mitchell.
Absolute disaster there for Chris Butcher. Then I think Savily just braked a little bit early and completely caught out Chris Butcher there is my takeaway there, but he seems to have got going in. And is that Butcher letting Savily back through there? If so, that's very, very good sportsmanship, and it's cost Chris Butcher quite dearly as well, because look around the outside, here comes Omari Watson. And the rears just lose traction there, so somehow Chris Butcher holds on, and now Omari's got to worry about Mirko Lucchini who's coming upon him as well. But yeah, very much chaos reigning from the second downwards. Micah is now running second with Luke Mitchell also on the podium. Mike Quint, the big winner of the front runners here, because now he's just off of the podium places. And as we see off track, that looks like Russo having a bit of a trip there. Or is it Karatko, I think, actually?
Yeah, Karatko. Yeah, that's been unfortunate. From 5th place, he's lost a lot of that progress, and has he disappeared entirely? Yeah, he's had to yield completely, letting everyone past. And there's no way, of course, into pit lane once you've taken that final apex. It's too little too late. Now that DRS is enabled, Luke Mitchell, he looks to have Micah where he wants him. He'll go down the inside at turn 4. Should be handy enough for him. Yes, indeed. Great showing here for Lunark, who themselves, of course, are closer to King's Racing and Parallax than perhaps you may have expected after their brilliant half season last year. Yeah, they'll really want to show that they are a team that should be competing for honours as often as possible. But yeah, it's a great mix up here with Grafone having a race leader with great pedigree, but Mitchell and Micah, the two drivers hungry for podiums for their team. They're really determined to see how they get in the championship, particularly with Pixelate 48 points, King's Racing 51, Lunark 69.
Yeah, and look at Luke Mitchell, fastest lap of the race, 1:13.1, a tenth quicker than Simon Frelick. So now he's cleared Micah. He might potentially have the pace to cause a bit of a headache for Simon Frelick here. Remember, he was being caught by Frank Hamming in the closing stages of race 1 at Barcelona as well. So Frelick, we know, does love to take quite a bit out of the tyres and give himself a little bit more tyre saving to do in the sort of second half of the race, depending, of course, on when he's going to stop and what the tyre life is like on the harder compound once he switches to it. But now Mike Quint taking advantage of that inexperience of Matthias Micah at this level and looking to get Multiforce onto the podium here. But while we look at this, Karatko, I believe, is gone back into the pits then, so he might well end up being our first retirement. Ivanov is still down in 26th, trying to catch up to Daniel Scott. Hamming, we just mentioned him, he's already up to 17th and at 2/10 behind Massimiliano Riboli, and just a couple of places off the points. 100-1, still in the points at the moment, with Owen Kilhausvik in 14th position, just holding off Cardaz in the second of the Griffones. So 100-1, a good first 5 laps for them. Let's hope they can hold on to the lower end of the points there.
And this is the aftermath, I think, for Karatko on the action replay.
When he's gone, Owen.
He's lost the front wing, yeah, so the front wing has vanished on him. So yeah, that confirms perhaps the catalyst for
Ivanov just going through there. He nearly touched Ivanov as he rejoined, so clearly a bit unsighted. But yeah, not only did he spin around right in front of the pits, but he has to whole lap without his front wing. So here we go, final 2 corners for Karatko.
Oh, it was a rejoin. That explains he must have hit Tom on the rejoin. Yeah. That explains a huge amount. So I thought it was a handy enough rejoin, but no, he didn't yield. He spun out of control on the exit, trying to...
the second worst contact Tom Savley's had in this race so far. I'm surprised that MS Performance is in one piece. But yeah, it almost looked like that Karatko was going to be able to continue, but that rejoin was just a little bit too eager to rejoin. I thought he might have spun across the grass, but it was literally just into the path of the MS Performance that caught him out there. So I think Karatko and Filip Savinsky are our first 2 retirements then. And Ivanov is catching up to Daniel Scott. Somebody else has dropped at the final corner there. It's Noah Court. Yeah. Yeah, Noah was 10th, so that is absolutely gutting news for him in his first appearance that I'm aware of in FS1. So Massimiliano Riboli becomes the new proprietor of 15th position, worth a single point to back up what his teammate Micah's achieving in the number 98. That's normally occupied by Jonas Abler. And Butcher on his fight back up the grid. It's hopefully a more accident-free contest here with Satellite. Oh my goodness! Oh no! What have you done, Eoin? You cursed it there. And once more, Chris Butcher spins Tom Savley around.
Yeah, that's another nil point on the record here for Tom Satterley, and that is even more gutting than the first one, to be honest. Oh dear, I'm so sorry.
Both MS Performance cars now right at the tail of the field, and I think Chris Butcher might be having one, potentially two penalties come his way post-race. I could see MS Performance lodging a protest to that one. So now we got 4 retirements: Savali, Court, Karatko, and Savinsky.
Let's check out the replay of Noah Court. So this will be turn 10 again, catching him out. Is it? Oh, there's the infamous curbing. I think that has launched him heavily frontwards, nearly somersault. Now we'll fast forward to Satterley versus Butcher Part 2, and it will not be given a
there, isn't there already?
Yeah, there was already contact. Yeah, Satterley just probably wanted him off his tail, and there was just no more give, and the MS Performance car got pitched into a spin. Yeah, and MS Performance, it's been an absolute nightmare for the pair of them.
Yeah, for me, Chris was a little bit too eager to get through there, and maybe should have lifted off the throttle going into sort of a 10, 5, and 6. But it's sort of thing that's easy to say in hindsight, and there might even have been a bit of lag there where Chris didn't think he was quite so lodged to the back of the MS Performance as much as he actually was on screen that we saw. So, but yeah, anyway, for Kings, still running 6th on the road at the moment, so Chris Butcher could well still get some important points for Kings Racing, but that's certainly going to, a double collision with Savali is certainly going to take the shine off of things a little bit. But for Luke Mitchell and the Lunark team, they've been lapping fairly well, 5 seconds behind Simon Frelick though, so Frelick has really just made hay up front. And Mike is still within about 7 tenths. He's actually held off Mike Quint very, very convincingly. 10th quicker the previous lap then, so it's kind of stalemate for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at the present moment, with Federico Russo slowly coasting up to the back of this battle as well, just another half a second behind.
Yeah, so really splendid showing here for Micah against the championship leader. But of course, yeah, Mike may get the call in his ear saying only make the overtake when you're confident it's a slam dunk, because his advantage already over Ivanov is significant, so he doesn't need to do anything wild just yet. So it's probably wise just to perhaps think about the pit stops and force his way through via strategy. But yeah, what Frank Hamming is doing is exceptional, to say the least, having started second to last. He could be in position to overtake the second Grifoni of Cardats, giving himself 2 points for 14th.
Yeah, he's really just picked them off one by one. Even Jason Muscat, who's no slouch, has dropped down to 17th in these first couple of laps from starting, I think, 16th on the grid. And look at how much they're struggling for traction on the exit of turn 1, Nicky Lauda corner there. But yeah, Hamming has made really, really good work of those soft tyres now. And Cardass on the hards surely is not going to be able to hold on for too much longer. He's going to be sitting duck down the straights as the brakes glow orange into turn 3 for Frank Hamming now. He's really setting up the Grifone, and Cardass is surely just creating a big hole in the air that he can take advantage of.
He's peaking, and he gets the inside line that he craved. Frank Hamming now P14. He has
super late on the brakes compared to Cardass as well there. So much confidence for Frank Hamming.
Precisely. The move would not have been possible if he didn't show that courage on the brakes, lighten them up. He's got the belief in the car and its reliability, making sure those brakes didn't fail or anything. Jurassic, and there we go. There's Micah on the grass, so perhaps he's finally feeling the heat from the Malta Force lead driver. The number 11, of course, is his best chance thus far. And of course, Mitchell is giving Micah a little bit of a tow similarly. That could be a saving grace, but Quint knows this may be his best opportunity to get himself yet another podium. And Russo behind, certainly he's showing great competitiveness himself, making sure that Quint's judgment has to be spot on. Looks like he has to sit in the wake yet again. It's still too difficult to put Micah away.
Yeah, and did you notice into turn 1, Micah's line, he went right to the left-hand side to the outside, almost sort of off track, to get a maximum angle to sort of swing in from the outside, and that's really to not only slow down Mike Quint's exit there, but also just to put off Mike Quint, I think, from making a DRS move into turn 1. He'd have to be alongside much earlier. and also sort of it affects him down in the run to turn 3 and sort of affects his running through the rest of the lap as well as much as possible. So yeah, Micah taking risks here because he really, really wants that podium, wants to impress in his first outing for Pixel 8 Esports.
Yeah, and the work carries on. We'll see if he does repeat that trick. I personally admit I didn't notice it. So yeah, good observation once again from Ed. Phil Hausvik, he doesn't have any help up front, but Massimiliano Roboli behind him will climb up the gradient a little bit quicker with that DRS boost. So there we go, a nice backward shot of everyone in rain. And you could even see the other Parallax Alpino, Brody Lawless in 22nd. So a lot of drivers still have the belief there is a point or two for them to win in this race if their pit stop strategies go to the best possible outcome. Yeah, Frelick's lead grows and grows yet more. He's nearly 7.5 seconds ahead of Mitchell. Then yeah, there you go, you can see him. He's all on his own. He can take turns 9 and 10 without anyone in his mirrors. So it is one of the finest showings of the entire season thus far, with no one else really able to respond. Yeah, lap times are still really, really strong for Frelick, gaining another 4/10 out of Mitchell there. The top 3, 4 and 5 drivers, they're all within a tenth of a second of one another, so it's proving really difficult for any changes to happen on the road.
Yeah, I think Bradley Sellers just had a big spin because he was right behind Viktor Ivanov, battling for 90th position, and then he spun and lost quite a few positions and fallen back down to 24th. So Ivanov has, since serving his penalty, been catching up to the back of the pack, is now starting to gain places and get closer and closer to those final points paying positions, which is going to be a big worry to the likes of Ruboli, Harmon, Cardaz and Kiel Hausvik. Especially Eoin Hausvik, the only 100-to-1 in this race, and that was what happened to Bradley Sellers just at the penultimate corner. The rear just dropped out and he just could not save that in time, because at such high speed you've really got to catch that very, very quickly and get right on the brakes, and it's an awkward position to do that as well. So Sellers continues, but really Lunark's best hope lies with his teammate Luke Mitchell, who is now 7 seconds off the lead. As you say, Frelick just pulling away, and it looks like a leisurely Sunday drive, but it's anything but the way that Frelick is pushing right now. Is again a little bit wide from Matthias Micah, and this is the opportunity now that Mike Quint's been looking for.
Yeah, he's put the pressure on for the last 7 or 8 laps, and at last it is his own move. He almost kicked up too much sparks on those sausage curves, but he's away. Micah missing out, so he has to put up more defensive work here with Russo on his case. Let's see if Federico is tempted to put Micah away at the first opening, now that they are together on track. Quint will be doing everything he can to pull clear. He's half a second or more, just over half a second clear of Micah now that he has a lap, the first half of a lap ahead of his opponent. And Russo elects just to stay behind. I think that would be lap traffic in the way here of Mike Quint, or maybe no, that's Mitchell. It's Mitchell losing a lot of time, and now the Quint is released.
Yeah, you could tell Luke Mitchell was just struggling to break away from Micah as well, and now he's got to deal with Quint, who's clearly got a little bit more raw pace. It's going to be an uphill battle, but Luke Mitchell is certainly not going to just stand aside and let him through. Also going on in the top 8, we see Pavel Andrzejewski as passed Mirko Licini for 8th position, so another good showing from the Hyperion driver. And Pavel now, he's got 1.5 seconds to make up to Amari Watson. He's catching up to Butcher, and Butcher in turn, while this sort of top 2 onwards battle has been carrying on, Chris Butcher has been slowly clawing back time. So here we go, Mike Quinn is going to try and have a think about looking up the inside into turn 3, but decides to focus on the exit. He might instead make a run into turn 4.
He's definitely on his way, but it could be too little too late on equal tire compounds. Oh no, he has the dive bomb ready. Luke is alert, but nothing he can do. So yeah, Mike Quint bursts into second place, and he has his chance to get another healthy dose of points, putting Ivanov down now 17th under enormous pressure to try and figure out a way back into the points after his jump start on the opening seconds of the race.
Yeah, and Mike Quint has got 9 laps now to make up an 8.5 second gap to Simon Frelick, so unless Frelick makes a big mistake, I don't quite see it happening, but we're getting to the end of this soft stint now. There could be an opportunity come the pit stops for the order to reshuffle once more. But yeah, Ivanov continuing to make pretty electric progress. He's lapping in the 1:14.1s despite being in quite a lot of traffic behind Jason Muscat at the moment, just outside the points. Whereas Quinton Frelick in the 1:13.4s and 13.5s, as Ivanov is going to try and undercut here to gain track position.
Yeah, exactly. That makes a lot of sense to me personally. Getting onto the new set of tires as quickly as possible. And he probably feels there is a gap in the road that he can't fill in. So away he goes on his new hard compound tires. And yeah, he should be free of everyone else. The likes of Raboli in the pits, and I think Scott as well has come in. So yeah, they're going to be serviced, but they're well behind him at this stage. So this is the job now for Victor. He has that total gap to himself, about 12 seconds behind his nearest challenger. So what he needs to do is just log in all those pacey laps that we all know he can do, and see if he can get those last 2 positions he needs for a championship point. Replay here, Ed, with Raboli, who was previously 13th. Unfortunately, yeah, turn 1 and a collision there with the...
That was Hamming.
Hamming, yeah, HGP car of Hamming. He just...
Hamming actually went up in the air briefly, if you saw that, and so that's why we saw Raboli come in, because clearly those softs had... they'd done enough before then, and then they'd done even more, doing that little half spin there. As we see a few more pit stops, Chris Butcher pits from 5th position, as does Jason Muscat and Robin Mulling. So Muscat and Mulling are definitely going to come out behind Ivanov, I think, but it'll be interesting to see where Chris Butcher emerges. He's going to come back into the pack in 18th position then, just in front of Bradley Sullers in the Lunark.
This is Brody Lawless in combat with Matthews Dabrowski. The chance for the counter-attack, of course, has been negated with the DRS flap in favour of Brody. But, oh yeah, I could be proven wrong again here. As Dabrowski down the inside, he got plenty of slipstream of his own. Oh, Lawless just watching out for an opening, and it is not going to take place, so he hasn't completed the pass officially. Dabrowski got him straight back.
Race leader in, Eoin.
We go, yeah. Frelick.
And look who's following him, it's Mateusz Majka.
Yeah, good decision here. I think Majka, knowing that he had dropped off the podium, he has a chance to fight back, as Mike is going deeper into the first stint than these top contenders for the podium. Here he goes, he's back in action. He'll be watching those other drivers taking service to make sure they're not going to jump out in front of him. So it's 14th position for Majka, as Watson, Lucchini et al., I don't think they'll catch up in time. So De Vries has risen to 15th now. He gains 2 positions on his overcut. Frelick P9, and he has a gap all to himself. And now we see the other parallax Filipino. It's James Knox. He is giving a battle with Cardaz, yes.
Yeah, so interestingly, Butcher pitting means he's maintained track position against Amari Watson. Watson was right behind him on the road there, as Butcher just gets past David De Vries. Of course, is running long on those hard tyres that he started on as well. But for Simon Frelick, he's emerged in 9th, and now Mike Quinn is responding with a pit stop of his own, and it's Mitchell and Russo following him in.
Yeah, so 3 drivers all within 3 seconds of each other. They'll get as close, towards the end of the pit lane. All 3 of them are getting
all of the top 8 came in fact, as well. Yeah. So everyone getting off the soft tyres. They can't do any more. Frelick retakes the lead, and Russo's got a bit of a traffic jam. Oh, that was Hamming just slotting in front of him. And I hope Hamming's car isn't too damaged from that knock with Raboli as well.
Yeah, and screenshot this moment if you're a Grafone fan, because Damien Cardaz has inherited 2nd place on his hard stint. So it is absolute scenes here for the Italian team in neighbouring Austria. So yeah, James Knox not able to overtake in time and put the little party to rest. So yeah, absolutely incredible for Grafone to have a 1-2 on track for a little while at least. And indeed, Parallax, 3rd and 4th.
Isn't it? Yes. In 3rd and 4th with Knox and Lawless, who are both pretty inexperienced at FS1 level. They've only done a couple of substitute drives each, so to run third and fourth, even artificially, is going to be a nice little sight for them, especially because Pax Volpino have, despite getting very, very close to the podium with, not Ballas Becky's, it was their other driver, wasn't it? Patrick Rozak, of course, I should say. Other than Patrick Rozak's performances, they've not really had a whole lot to chat about this season. A couple of top fours for him. As off track goes the Hyperion of Dabrowski then, and that's going to allow both Micah and Mitchell through. So Dabrowski really running long and starting to feel the pain after 18 laps on those hard tyres.
Yeah, it's Mike Quint here. He's caught up to the back of Lawless. Completely isolated here, unfortunately, so it should be as simple as you like. Lawless, yeah, he'll probably be best getting the slipstream here before Mike Mitchell catch up. Here's Lucchini on the inside of De Vries. There we go. Another excellent pass into the third curve. And there we go. The VMS Sunedits, no response, but yeah, his job to see what you can do after the likes of Bradley Sellers. Tylene are also on long stints. Tylene is just pitted, so yeah, stand corrected on that one. But yeah, Bradley Sellers, I think, is going long himself.
But interestingly, in terms of the undercut, so Viktor Ivanov hit on, he did on lap 14, wasn't it? For another set, for a set of hard tyres. It's Russo going around the outside of looks like a Dabrowski going into the pit lane there, and I think those hards have done enough. Oh, he might have just been getting out. No, he was going in the pit, sorry. But Ivanov pit on lap 14, Kielhausvik pit on lap 17, and they were about 5 seconds apart before the pit stops. Now they're only 1 second apart, so that really shows you the undercut that Ivanov has got. Right now, he is looking at 13th, 14th place once those ahead pit.
Yeah, that's splendid that he's on target. But these drivers competing for 8th place, Russo and Butcher. They will see what they can do. Alpha Delta and Kings got their objectives in the championship. Of course, Alpha Delta 5th in the team's championship. And now, there we go, Lawless has no response to Mitchell. And yeah, the strategy for the hard tire runners may be coming to an end very soon. They will be on course to get some good laps on softs. And there we go, more battles there. Butcher so close to potential contact. I won't speak again on that. So yeah, Russo defended resolutely.
Yeah, Russo was not going to be bullied out of the way or butchered by Chris Butcher, so to speak. But yes, Federico Russo there just a little, kept alongside, had a little tap there. Skardas, the second Griffon, the tyres are given out, and he's making his final stop then with just 14 laps left to go then. So let's hope those pitting onto the softs can get the life out of them, especially the more inexperienced drivers looking to go to the end of the race. But if you're Muscat, Ivanov or Kielhausvik, you're going to be worried about these guys catching up to you in the dying laps of the race then. So this is where it could get somewhat interesting down there. But yeah, for Simon Frelick, he's extended that gap to Mike Quint. It's 10.2 seconds now once James Knox pits out of the way, as he inevitably is going to do. So yeah, it really opens things up. But for Micah, he has been able to leapfrog through Luke Mitchell just after this pit stop phase. So Matthias Micah having a much stronger outlap or in-lap, and that has really caught out Luke Mitchell here. So the reigning FS2 champion is going to have to go some to beat the man third in the FS2 points at the moment.
Yeah, it'll be hard work, but yeah, all he can do now is trust in him, in his car and himself to pull out the strongest possible result. The pit stop for the strategy is complete, and yeah, he needs to drag it all the way to the line. Here we go, James Knox also pits, leaving a handful of drivers going super long, such as Lawless. He will be caught very soon by Russo, I'd imagine. Yeah, see the difference in lap time, 0.8 of a second was the chunk taken out of Lawless's advantage by Russo on the last lap. Up the hill they go again. Yeah, the fact that you can see Lawless there, he's going to spare Russo any attacks for the moment, so that's a big reprieve. And now on to the podium battle for a moment here. Mitchell takes the inside line at turn 4, with Micah doing everything he can to stop this onslaught. He'll take the inside himself, but now he backs out. Mitchell P3.
Yeah, and remember, Luke Mitchell stayed out 1 lap longer than Micah, so Micah got the undercut and might have pushed his hard tyres just a little bit too hard, a little bit too early, and now might be paying the price of that there as Luke Mitchell gets himself back onto the podium. And Luke Mitchell still yet to take his first podium of the season, 13th in the championship at the moment. This would be a big result for him after quite a few disappointments. He qualified really well. Remember, second in Imola before contact with Stefan Ruolt. And he's had a couple of other incidents across the season as well. His best result so far, the 2 sixth places in the 2 races in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that's been several months of waiting to get a better result. And yeah, hopefully today is his day. And of course, 100 to 1. They have the P15, the crucial P15 now that Ivanov has overtaken Phil Hausvik for that 14th position. So the dreams of 100 to 1 getting a point on the board. It's coming a little bit closer by the day. And now side by side, Butcher on Russo. That's a move complete. And Drzyuski is watching to see what goes on. There we go. Butcher is well clear now. He's got several car lengths now. He is ready to start pushing and solidifying that P5. But Pavel, he's really eager to carry on his excellent form. And he has a chance to take on Russo in a head-to-head battle.
Yeah, and going back to Kiel Hausvik, he's got such a tricky job, hasn't he? Because he's got Muscat right behind him, a former winner of this event, albeit Muscat is on 2 lap older hard tyres. And he's got Ruben Mulling, who's on about the same lap older soft tyres. Then David De Vries, who's yet to pit, Riboli, and Cardas and Knox are sort of the leaders of those who have pit to change tyres and are sort of on different strategies. As we see Brody Lawless now making another pit stop, I think, for Parallax Volpino.
No, he went super long edge. That was his first stop.
Oh, it was, yeah, sorry. I lost track of where he was in the order.
Yeah. Just hope he has switched to the soft tyre to make his strategy compliant with the rule book, because James Knox, the teammate to Lawless, has set a new fastest lap. And here he is, neck and neck here with the other Griffon that we saw briefly in second place, Damien Cardas. And their battle will rage on with Massimiliano Riboli watching him to see what goes on. And Knox may have just been outsmarted there. He tried to switch, but unfortunately had to brake. He was in an awkward spot on the racing line, so he had to back out. So, yeah, I'm just looking on the YouTube playback to see exactly what was going on. So he's on the high line. He wanted to go middle, but it was a big swipe, in fairness, in defence from Cardas.
Yeah, Cardas knows that he really wants to be leading this train once they catch up to those hard tyre runners that are just filling out the final points paying positions as well. So they've got 4 seconds to make up to Mulling, who is just about a second and a half, I think, behind Muscat. But Mulling's had to pit early, so his softs are going to fade very quickly compared to theirs. You would expect, unless Rookie Monster have got monster tyre preservation in their pocket here. As Micah, he still hasn't given up trying to catch Mitchell, but Mitchell still setting personal best laps of the race, 1:13.0, faster than Quint in front of him. Quint is only 1.7 seconds ahead, so this has been a very good race for Luke Mitchell, hasn't it? Because he's kept Mike Quint, the championship leader, extremely honest.
Yeah, unfortunately, this pit stop graphic is glitchy. Everyone, I believe, has made their pit stop at this stage, so don't worry, 100 to 1 fans. Eoin made his pit stop, so he is ready to go to the finish and try and get those precious first points on the board for 100 to 1. So yeah, that was just unfortunate. The render on the pits graphic was incorrect, so I want to make doubly sure there's nothing to be especially scared about when it comes to making the strategies work today.
Yeah, and currently Kiel Hausvik doing a very good job matching Jason Muscat at the present moment. Muscat a tenth quicker in the first sector, then 2 tenths slower in the middle sector, and then Kiel Hausvik a further 2 tenths quicker in the final sector on that previous lap then. So 100 to 1 driver fighting back. Eoin told us in previous races the thing that he was really struggling with in this FS1 car was learning how to preserve the tyres. That's the thing he was always worried that would catch him out, despite the fact that his main strength really was qualifying. So But yeah, Eoin Karausvik lapping very, very competitive. Let's just hope that in the final couple of laps, the hard tyres can hold on. He's still within half a second of Viktor Ivanov as well, which is impressive in of itself, or at least it would be if Ivanov hadn't had quite so many issues in this race. But nonetheless, to keep the Bulgarian honest, that's no mean feat. And Ivanov is 2.2 seconds behind Harry Smith then, so it's going to be pretty difficult for Ivanov to sort of save face in this race, really. And at the present moment, in 13th, he is going to gain only 3 points compared to the 20 that Mike Quint is on course for. So that'd be a 17-point swing. And you don't need to be too good at maths to know that 38 plus 17 is a 55-point lead, essentially. So that's nearly 60 points and over 2 wins that Mike Quint would be leading by, which would be an immense turnaround from earlier in the season.
Without a doubt, yeah, that's absolutely a gigantic lead if he can convert it. With the remaining 8 laps or so to go. Micah still trying his utmost here to get Pixel 8 back onto the podium. At the moment, yeah, it is so close, but not enough. It's ranging about 0.3 of a second on the interval. And growing
Chris Butcher.
Half a second. Oh, goodness, yes, Chris Butcher.
Yeah, and he's starting to drag Russo with him as well. So this is far from over yet. If Micah can't stay with Luke Mitchell, then he's absolutely at threat, and that's why he's continuing to push as much as he is right now.
Yeah, he's eager. He knows this is a golden opportunity. Kings Racing promoted from FS2 last season. They may not see the podium that often, but this is the dream situation. If they can close right in, you can see using excessive curbing there to try and turn the car in. That was Micah there trying something perhaps he would have seen out of the tricks of Harlax Alpino last season. But nevertheless, it didn't pay off quickly enough for Matthews' liking. And Lucchini now, he's got a sight of Amari Watson in the battle for potential race reverse grid draw and the opportunity to get pole position. This is certainly very, very valuable as well. Around the outside on turn 4's curbing there and sort of curvature. No look there for Lucchini just yet.
Yeah, and if you look just behind them, you can see Luca Filin, who has got Frank Hamming for close company just within a second at the moment. The last lap for Frank Hamming slightly slower by 0.2, but Hamming, who started 27th and on the back row of the grid, is now up to 11th, well into the points, and as you say, on the verge of getting into the top 10, which would put him in reverse grid draw contention then. So Frank Hamming, we did expect him to gain places, but he's really had a stellar drive today through the field and avoided quite a lot of incidents. It's amazed that Riboli didn't take him out earlier, and he just kept absolutely pushing it, and he could get a big reward by the end of this that could well keep him in the title hunt, especially with Ivanov being behind him and not scoring too well today. So that really shows you how much that drive through cost him. It's round the outside, goes Mirko Lucchini, but way too deep into turn 3. So Mario Watson will just slot back through into 8th.
Yeah, it was looking so promising there, but the camera, yeah, perhaps a little bit misleading with the angle. Yeah, he's trying on it all over again. But of course, yeah, Frank Hamming. Here we go. This is the last to first challenge, and yeah, the top 10 against the super Swede here, Tylene. If he can pull this off, this will be one of the drives of the day. Of course, if Freilich wasn't already super comprehensively ahead, then you'd certainly judge these two quite evenly. Here we go. Battle for 10th place will occur very soon. He's plus 16 compared to that grid slot he had after not setting a qualifying time. It could be plus 17 before too long.
Indeed it could, and Robin Mulling, who started I think just ahead of him on the grid, has gained 10 positions himself and is only 1.2 seconds away from Muscat, but they're both been caught by Knox and Cardass, who keep swapping positions. You would think Knox and Cardass would have learned to work together by now and just catch the back of the pack before they start squabbling like rats in a sack against one another. But nonetheless, that could heat up very, very quickly. But as you say, Hamming has got a file in his sights, keeps getting a toe down the straights towards turn 4, and they're both starting to catch Lucchini as well, who's lapping in that 1:14.2s, and it's just starting to lose touch with the back of Omari Watson on this lap then. But Mike Quinn is the one setting personal best laps. He was 2/10 quicker than Frelick, but with 5 laps to go, that 12-second gap is looking pretty insurmountable. It's been an absolutely stellar performance from Simon Frelick up front. And Luke Mitchell himself has dropped about 3 seconds behind Mike Quinn and is now holding off Micah to the tune of 6/10 of a second.
Yeah, that's crucial to have that buffer in your midst, knowing that the Lunar team really want to find themselves back on the podium again. I suppose, yeah, you just can't you can't not repeat yourself and just say they're so good when they joined halfway through last season. This second season syndrome will hopefully come to an end with this superb run here for Mitchell, who has entered every race so far this season, all the way back in the opener in March. He's been here, and now his patience is within reach of a huge payoff with the battle with Chris Butcher also in the pipeline. So Micah just needs to stay cool and find whatever opportunities he can. Now this is Muscat against Phil Hausvik with the vital points on the line. Robin Mulling on the soft tires is also going to catch up. He was actually faster than Phil Hausvik on the last lap, so maybe he's just saving something in reserve while these two get into a clash of the drive. Well, yeah, I'll just say clash. So this is so important for both, knowing what's at stake, whether it be multi-force in the teams championship or 100 to 1 in the very end of the championship, rooted to the bottom. They want their first points.
Yep, and what a job Hausvik's done to hold on for as long as he has, but you can guarantee Ben Constantine is going to be watching this through the gaps in his fingers, possibly hiding behind the sofa, because you can see that Muscat is starting to just gain a little bit of confidence. A tenth quicker the previous lap than Eoin Hausvik, and now sizing up a move into turn 3. Eoin has just got to hold his nerve here. Mulling is also lapping about 2/10 quicker than the pair of them, getting within a second of Muscat. So the hope, for, if you're a 100 to 1 fan, is that Muscat and Mulling just fight each other, and that knocks Riboli card as their charge is just halted before they can reach them, because they've just got a little bit too much ground to make up really after their pit stop. So yeah, at the moment, Phil Hausvik doing everything he needs to do, but is it going to be enough, Owen? Because the pressure is not going to be. This is the most pressure he's had to deal with all season, and with the disappointment from Barcelona losing that 15th place on the very, very last lap of that race too there, he's going to want to not falter this time, because he's so close to 2 crucial points. Even if Muscat gets through, just getting the 1 point would mean the world to Ben Constantine and company.
Exactly, 1 point is still better than 0. If you can hold on to it, that will be
100% more points.
Yeah, 100% more points. Absolutely.
100 to
1 and 100%. How apt if that were to happen, but they want the 2 points. I'm absolutely certain of that.
200 to 1. Yeah.
200 to 1. Chris Butcher with a slight slide there. He caught it in plenty of time, so there's no threat of a spin. Certainly the rally of spins that occurred at Barcelona Race 2 should be recalled by the drivers who were affected in that one, or who may have been watching some replays, as Harry Smith, one of the drivers who we have talked about plenty in 2024, but I'm afraid this has not been his evening thus far, as Ivanov is now ahead of him in P12. So that was a swap for position, most likely in the 4 to 6 series of corners. So there we go. That's unfortunate in terms of Netrex battling to stay on top of the team's championship. They will unfortunately fall to second place on this current scenario. Oh, wide there should be Amari Watson in the other Netrex. He's under the spotlight here of Lucchini, and then Tylene, potentially Hamming as well. So close to getting a top 10 from the back of the grid. Around the outside, it's Lucchini again. He's too deep. Tylene should take that gimme if he can possibly get it. There's a big weave there, Ed. Incredible risk for Watson, but Tylene on the inside. He's got the corner advantage, but hot and mighty is Lucchini. If he's pulled this off, that is incredible. It is incredible. What a pass.
Yeah, you saw Watson just desperately wanted to get to the inside, so he had the inside line for 4 there, and in the end, Lucchini just held on and swooped all the way around the outside of him there. So Mirko Lucchini, the Italian, take a bow for that one. But all this squabbling has allowed Hamming to get absolutely back in the mix, right on the back of Luca Filan, and Filan actually set a purple first sector on that lap, so that shows you how much he's pushing himself for KKR then. So final lap of the race about to begin for these 4, and Lucchini pulling away now, so it's becoming a battle for night between Watson, Filan, Hamming. Meanwhile, Kilhausvik has got the gap to Muscat to a whole second, so 100 to 1. As long as he can keep it on the road, he can do this. And here comes Micah. He's caught back up to Mitchell.
Oh my goodness, yeah, we're gonna have to cut away from someone's battle because of how close Freilich is to the checkered flag. Tylene, he has another look for position here against Watson, tries the switcheroo. He'll go to the inside for turn 4. He's got DRS open. He will potentially go for it, but yeah, Freilich should be in the last sector at this stage, so we'll keep an eye out on that with the watchful eye Frank Hamming. Tylene, oh, he's dragged him wide. Hamming on the double, gains 2 places there. Sensational opportunism, and across the line goes Freilich, so we cut away from that incredible situation there for Hamming. But it is Szymon Freilich, 3rd win of the season.
Indeed it is. Mike Quinn is going to take a valuable 20 points in his championship in 2nd. Luke Mitchell holds on for his first FS1 podium, and Lunark's first podium since they won in Brazil last year. So great job there. Chris Butcher will get 5th on the road, but after quite a few collisions, he could well be in trouble at the end. There was that Filan just falling short by 19 thousandths of a second from Frank Hamming there. So I think Frank Hamming just ran out of fuel as he crossed the lane, which is or something happened there, because he was very, very slow at the last corner, but just enough to hold on there to 9th position. So that's a 27th to 9th. So let's do the math there. How many places is that Frank Hamming's gained from where he started? And there's Kilhausvik. 2 crucial points, the first points for 100 to 1 in their FS1 career. And Eoin is going to be over the moon with that. Well-deserved 400 to 1.
Yeah, we'll definitely need to make a special cutaway in the interviews section later in the broadcast for Phil Hausvik if he wants to come forward, or indeed anyone in the 100 to 1 team, because of their brilliant performance. The 100 to 1, as Ed says in YouTube's chat. They've got their points at last, and yeah, we'd love to hear how thrilled that team is for that outcome. They've been trying and trying all season long, and their wait is finally over. But yeah, Freilich just turns up, does the job, and yeah, it is another sensational drive for him in the FS1 category. Mike Quint, he'll be very pleased as well. I know, yeah, he was outclassed by Freilich today, but getting so many points on even off in the championship hunt, that is crucial. And of course, Luke Mitchell will be very pleased as well, getting that first podium of the season. Micah P4, great showing for Pixel 8, but it wasn't to be for the podium. Chris Butcher P5, getting Kings Racing, surging up the classifications as well. Alpha Delta 6th and 8th, sandwiched in there in 7th place is Andrzejewski, so his form is also very impressive. Frank Hamming, we would have in normal circumstances expected him to be battling for the top 5, but to compete from the back of the grid, gaining those 2 places at the very last, that was sensational. So he gets his just reward for 9th place, and he could potentially get the reverse grid pole, as well as Lucas Tylene finishing in the top 10 after a 16th place start, as a bit of chaos in the pits occurs. So hopefully that'll be cleaned up before race 2. Amari Watson, Victor Ivanov and Harry Smith, 3 drivers know what it's like to be on the podium. It's not been their best showing so far, 11th through 13th. But yes, the peak of 100 to 1, it's Eoin Kilhausvik getting those points ahead of Jason Muscat, the team leader, subbing in for Menno Clont. Robin Mulling, P16, James Knox just behind in 17th, Raboli, Cardaz and Scott are the top 20. And the 4 drivers who completed the race: Matthew Dabrowski, 21st, Brody Lawless, 22nd, Bradley Sellers, 23rd, and David DeVries in the VMS. So then it's getting the 24th classification. And then the desperately unfortunate Satterley, 2nd on the grid in race 1, He ended up in 2 collisions, neither of which were his fault, so he's out of the race in 25th. Noah Court, DNF for HGP 26th. Damir Karatko and Filip Servinsky also did not make it to the finish. So what a race one that was.
Yeah, it certainly was. Almost a shame that Simon Frelick had to miss 5 races, wasn't it? Because he'd almost certainly be right in the mix for the championship if he'd been able to do the full season. But nonetheless, he could Griffon could certainly really profit from this. What a absolute talent they've got their hands on. And yeah, like you say, the other big stories, Mitchell and Micah showing incredibly well. Harmon going from near the back of the grid to 9th, especially with that double move near the end on Phelan and Watson and co. Ivanov recovering to 12th despite jumping the start and getting a drive-through penalty. Kiel Hausvik, of course, 100-1 should probably field one car more often if it gets them in the points, maybe, and just put all their focus on Eoin. I'm sure he'd love that. But yeah, always better to have 2 horses in the race than 1. Yeah, I think those are really the big stories in terms of disappointments. Yeah, I agree. Savily, it's just the Kiwi just cannot get any luck, can he? And let's hope race 2 goes a bit smoother from him from 25th on the grid. And yeah, Karatko, good qualifyings, but sadly mistakes at the final corner costing them. Let's hope they also have cleaner race 2s.
Yeah, and it's now time to take a break. We'll be back very soon to observe the action in race 2 and find out who gets the lucky number in the draw. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Hi everybody, you're very welcome back to Formula Sprint 1 action around the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria. I'm Eoin Harmon, and once again, Ed Hunter will be beside me in the commentary box with Remco Zeeuw as our broadcast director. So Ed, we have our reverse grid draw completed, and it is really, really promising if you are a fan of Hyperion, of course.
It certainly is, because it's P7, which of course was Andrzejewski, Pavel Andrzejewski, filling in that number 82 car, as he did in Barcelona as well. Remember, it was Amari Watson that got reverse grid pole in race 2 in Barcelona. Andrzejewski started alongside him, actually challenged him in the first part of the race before falling away sadly near the end. He had, I think he said about was it 4 hours or 40 minutes or something like it was 4 something that he said that in the post-race interview. That was his sort of a warning that he was going to be taking part. So he got a pretty short notice on the day itself that he needed to drive, whereas he knew he was going to do Austria much longer in advance. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how long you can hold on to that lead, because a lot of very, very quick drivers behind, not least Chris Butcher in third, looking to redeem himself. And then you've got the likes of Micah Mitchell, Quint and Frelick, your top 4 from race 1, who are looking to do the same. So only top 7 being reversed this time, so rather than the full top 10 as we've occasionally had. So it could be a little bit easier for the front runners to make their way through, but nonetheless they'll have to make sure they don't trip over the interlopers as well as each other as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the trick for a lot of our drivers will be to either go on the hard tire, and we know that can last practically the entire distance around here if they're very careful. So that should be one strategy. And of course, the soft, you could split this race in half, the 24 laps. You could split it roughly down the middle and get the soft tires going twice. So we'll double check if the majority opt to play it safe on hards as we get our formation lap underway, with Pavel Andrzejewski getting that reverse grid draw in his favour, with Federico Russo up to P2, Chris Butcher third, Matthews Micah in fourth. Then we have Mitchell, Quint, Freilich, the dominant winner in race 1, just ahead of the other Alpha Delta in Lucchini. Now Frank Hamming has a proper grid slot. He's P9 ahead of Tylene in 10th, Watson and Ivanov together 11th and 12th. Smith will do his best to back up his teammate just behind in 13th. The People's Champion for today, Phil Hausvik, has the 100 2-1 in 14th, with Jason Muscat 15th, Robin Mulling in 16th. James Knox ahead of Raboli 17th and 18th. Cardaz and Scott are 19th and 20th. Gavrovsky and Lawless, we saw some interesting battles among them today, and let's see if they can do it again with Bradley Sellers and David DeVries 23rd, 24th. Noah Court DNF'd unfortunately in the first race. He'll try again with he's 25th place grid slot, and Damir Karatko 26th. So 2 cars that were in race 1 have not taken the grid here in race 2, Ed, so that is unfortunate.
Yeah, I think sadly we've lost Tom Saverly then, so clearly he was not happy at all, or he may have just struggled to reconnect since leaving the service, so he might have just decided that he wants to get some rest rather than be beaten up again by Chris Butcher. But yeah, and I don't know who the other driver that's dropped out is. It might have been Philip Savinsky as well, who also didn't last long in race 1 and might have had connection issues of his own. But anyway, Andrzejewski on the right-hand side, Federico Russo on the left. So we wait to see who is going to get the better start once Karatko and Court slot in at the back of the grid.
Yeah, race director should be pretty content. I think all the cars are lined up correctly, and here come the lights to signal we are ready for a valid start, hopefully. Here we go. It's a quick launch. Can Andrzejewski get a move on here? He certainly launched cleanly ahead of Russo, and he'll block his racing line, with Butcher going the high line again here in race 2, with Micah doing his best to stay in 4th. Mitchell and Freilich 5th and 6th. So Quint did not get a chance to overtake Freilich on track, but Hamming down in position thus far, but he could potentially launch his way up around the outside of, that should be Thailand. Sorry, that'll be Mirko Lucchini, I beg your pardon. So Lucchini in the other Alpha Delta doing his best to defend, but Russo looks to attack it.
Yeah, somebody went completely on the grass on the end of the turn 2. It was one of the white cars. I think it might be either a Netrex or a Rookie Monsters car. As here we go, Russo is keeping Pavel Andrzejewski very, very honest. Andrzejewski, he really nailed the start, and in fact got a little bit of wheel spin as well. The car was going sideways. I was amazed he held on to that one. But yeah, this has really worked out well for Hyperion overall. Now we look at Luke Mitchell now, who has just been jumped by Simon Freilich as well. So if what I'm seeing is accurate in terms of the tyre data, top 4 are all on hard tyres, and it's Freilich and Mitchell who gambled on the softs. And Ivanov and Watson have done the same in 11th and 12th as well. Pretty much everyone else has gone for the hards, save for Scott, Dabrowski and Sellers in 20th, 21st and 22nd. Yeah, now I'm personally very pleased to see that split in strategy is quite healthy, rather than 1 or 2 drivers thinking that soft strategy could be beneficial. So yeah, I'm pleased to see that. But Andrzejewski, in Hyperion's bid to win for the very first time as an organisation in GPVWC, I just looked up their stats, and they have 3 podiums, but none of them have been a victory. So this is a golden opportunity to do so if the battles behind can play out in their favour. But Freilich wants to get a move on in his opportunity, in his ambition to sweep the races here on this June evening. But Luke Mitchell won't let him away so easily, as they are on the same strategy yet. But Micah, his defensive driving was impressive in the first race, until the pressure perhaps built up to a level he couldn't deal with. So let's see if he can do it again this shorter sprint race. Yeah, I think Phylan might have hit trouble. I think he's just been passed by Ivanov making the best of those soft tyres then. So Phylan drops out of the top 10 then. So Ivanov, it's interesting that Frelick took the gamble. I did not expect that. But Mitchell, Ivanov, and Watson does not surprise me too much that they've gambled on the softs, because all of them, I think, probably prefer that tyre, especially judging from the evidence of qualifying and the start of race 1 as well. But yeah, Mike Quinn could well profit even if Ivanov flies by on the soft tyre, because he knows they'll have to stop again almost certainly, unless they're really kind on those tyres across this race, which so far it looks like they're absolutely pushing to make up positions.
Yeah, their objective, I would agree with you, it is to make up track position and make it up again with a pit stop. It would be so difficult to complete a full race distance in this 24 lap duration in the very sunny Styrian Mountains.
It is a short lap here, though. It
is a short lap, of course, but yeah, when it's very hot, it will be very challenging to complete this full stint on just the soft tires, as Russo wants to get another fastest lap in the bag. He got aggressive on those curbs, and he's really closing down on Pavel. It is Chris Butcher who's actually got the fastest lap for himself in P3. Russo clean on the curbs there. Is it a chance to get Andrzejewski after turn 3, maybe into turn 4? He'll get a good shot of DRS on that sector, so let's see what he can do. Following along now, and now he'll get the push right now.
Yeah, so you were saying earlier Hyperion had never won at this level before. That's also the case for Alpha Delta. They've had 3 podiums across the last 2 years. Their last win was actually Mike Quinn. Always we see Micah being overtaken there, and that looks like Frelick making his way through at turn 4 there. Micah just holding on to the car there as he desperately tries to fight back there. So Frelick, he's really been able to make this gamble work so far, and the closer he can get to the podium, the better this is going to work out for him later on. But yeah, if I had Chris Butcher, I'd be a little bit worried about Frelick catching up to the back of me now, and I wonder how hard these hard tyre runners are going to fight those on the softs if there turns into a big pace differential here, because Frelick and Ivanov are both setting purple lap times.
Yeah, it's an ominous sign with these soft tyre runners getting fastest laps in very urgently, I'm sure. But yeah, here's Chris Butcher. He knows how to win around here in FS1. You'll see Russo, and he'll try and find any small opening that he can, but DRS will spare Russo for the moment. And indeed Frelick on the soft tires, this is perhaps what has to occupy the mind of Mr. Butcher. So let's see what he can do now. Mullin as the rookie monsters battling side by side here with Harry Smith. So 2 very strong drivers. Let's see what Mullin can do, perhaps in the less the rookie monster team with less points, of course, but yeah, they have certainly belief that they can grab yet more points.
Yeah, Mullin has been sort of gradually working his way from the back of the grid. We've talked a lot about Hammering, but not so much about Mullin, who started from the very back of the grid, got to 16th at the end of race 1, and is now just worked his way into the points past Cardaz. Unfortunately, Kiel Hausvik is down in 17th, so just 2 places outside the points now, but still quite a way to go. And with the pack being so tightly bunched pretty much throughout the field, and that's really playing into the hands of those on the softs at the moment, because it means it's so much easier for them to make progress. If they're all a bit further apart, then it'd be a much harder task. As we look at Simon Frelick now going to the outside of Chris Butcher, and that's a late lunge on the outside into turn 3, and predictably Butcher claws back up the inside. But now here comes the cutback towards turn 4. Butcher defends to the inside. Is Frelick going to sweep to the outside? Yes, he is.
He's got to hold it, but he decides he'd rather take the apex.
And as that Mitchell past Micah in the background, he's gone round the outside of him at turn 4. Great move from Luke Mitchell there. And Micah tries to fight back and just avoids hitting the inside of Luke Mitchell. There's another side-by-side move. That's Ivanov passing Lucchini. Lucchini holding on from Ivanov, so.
No problem. So yeah, Ivanov, if he can hold on, he can start to fill in the gap. 1.8 seconds behind his direct championship rival. So if Ivanov can keep these soft tires in the temperature window necessary, then he can close down Quint. in a couple of laps and then show him what he's made of. And yeah, that could be Butcher under the spotlight for a moment against Russo.
Yeah, Russo had a big slide into turn 1, and now Butcher positions himself to the inside there through the kink at turn 2, and now at the inside into 3. He's a little bit tentative on entry, but tries to nail the exit. And look at this, Frelick now getting involved on those soft tyres. He's absolutely flying at the moment, and he can see the lead in touching distance. Needs to go around the outside of Chris Butcher then into turn 4, and that takes the pressure off Lucchini, as now Butcher is defending rather than attacking. And yeah, we've seen it kept very, very clean, surprisingly, between the two there. Chris Butcher leaves just enough room there for Simon Frelick now, as we look at Micah, who's actually fallen victim to Mike Quint now as well. So Mateusz Micah is actually really struggling on these hard tyres at the moment.
Yeah, it's proving to be a challenge for him now. He'll hopefully keep them going. Yeah, Frelick, I think the fact that Russo is able to stick to the racing line, that's where Frelick wants to be, to get a move done around the outside of turn 4. It's not been possible, unfortunately, having to deal with the two drivers at the same time. So we'll bunch up the field again. Last lap for Ivanov in his bid to close the gap. Yeah, he's looking mighty fast, so he's within a second of Micah. So Micah is actually falling down the line a bit. And there we go, the Hail Mary for Frelick. But Butcher won't be too impressed by
Look
that.
At Mitchell.
And Mitchell's in
trying to find a way through the middle. Oh my goodness.
Oh, if Luke Mitchell can pull this off, this will definitely spoil Frelick's objective, using the soft tires to claw back the positions, obviously in the reverse grid. So Mitchell's last chance, it's here at turn 6. No, unfortunately it's too difficult to pull that one off. And now it's all change in the podium battle. Chris Butcher down 2 places since this lap began.
Yeah, I think Butcher might be feeling a bit aggrieved there. He might be the aggrieved party for a change, because from where I was sitting, it looked like Frelick just went weighted, even almost forced Butcher off track on the outside at turn 3 there. But yeah, you can actually see Simon Frelick now right on the tail of Micah. So I think that was Lucchini or Hamming, just going really wide at the final corner in the background in the fight for 9th position then. So keep your eyes on that as Butcher goes off track at turn 1 completely over the yellow sausage curb. Somehow keeps it straight, so that shouldn't hurt his momentum too much. But now Mike Quint has got a golden opportunity to get himself into the top 5, and with his championship rival with 55 points behind him in the table, but only 2 places behind, and less than a second behind on the road itself. So yeah, Quint, if he can get through, this would be really, really important to have that buffer to Ivanov behind him on those different tyres.
Yeah, we really appreciate it if he can block. There's the slide though from Micah. Maybe he caught it earlier than what I thought could have happened to him, but yeah, Ivanov so close and yet so far from gaining that position. Tylene is trying his best. After we saw the spectacular conclusion to that battle for 9th position in race 1, Tylene now wants to see what he can do against Hamming and avoiding the threat of the other off delta of Lucchini. So
Lucchini has lost those positions, hasn't he? Because he was ahead of both of them on the laps. So that really bad exit, get out the final corner, just compromised him. As Luke Mitchell says the fastest lap of the race in the toe of Simon Frelick, 1:12.8 there. So that's very, very encouraging. So, the top, let's work this out. I think the top 8 are all within exactly 4 seconds of each other. So that's less than half a second between each car.
Yeah, it's a big choo-choo train there. So Frelick wants to get to the conductor's office in the front, but Russo has not yielded thus far. And whatever Andrzejewski can do, he's been solid and very brave to use every bit of this reverse grid pole.
I often wonder if the softs are starting to fade on for those who really pushed earlier on, because look at Ivanov's last lap, 1:13.9. That's like 3 tenths or so slower than the leaders on the hard tyres. So Luke Mitchell has kept his alive because he wasn't pushing quite as hard as Frelick, but I wonder if Frelick's going to have a much tougher time now in these last 14 laps if he chooses to stay out.
Yeah, it's definitely time to plan what the right move is for the Grafone number 16 that has tasted the victory once today, and he wants to do his utmost to make it a double. And this could be his best chance. If those tyres won't last another 3 or 4 laps, then this move is absolutely pivotal. He'll take the outside line. You'll want to make sure he's behind on the activation line. And he's pulled it off. Yes, he's kept the traction alive. And he has his second place at last.
There's a ring of death around the outside if I've ever seen one. Fantastic move from Simon Frelick and Russo. A little bit caught napping there as now Ivanov is all over the back of Micah. They're going to make side-on contact. Indeed they do. The wheels tangle briefly through turn 4, but Ivanov not going to be intimidated by the young Polish upstart of Mateusz Micah. And Micah just holds on around the outside then, but Ivanov being held up there, that's not what he needed. And now Mitchell going through for third.
Yeah, the different shades of purple here. It's Lunark and Alpha Delta. Neck and neck here as Mitchell wants the double podium. Glory. Oh, Russo using that runoff. It could have been a bit risky, but Butcher himself wants to get closer and closer for position. Yeah, the opportunity, it could be a little bit too difficult, of course. All on equal tires here, 4th through 7th. They're all on the harder compound. And Chris Butcher, he's spotting any potential, or else he'll want to go. Yeah, he'll want to go right now. Getting on the inside. The wheels are neck and neck, but superb corner exit speed there. And Frelick,
very briefly.
He had a flash in the lead, but he could still do it here. Oh, Pavel, he blocks him, but the switch is also denied. So lovely driving here. And Hyperion are crossing all of their fingers to make sure that their dreams of winning here in GPVWC are realized. A kick up of the gravel there as Frelick, he certainly will lose a bit of time in this third sector. And Luke Mitchell on equal tires to Frelick. You'll want to try and pull off some good cornering speed himself to get the DRS benefit now that lap 13 begins.
Yeah, this is very, very interesting. I think, though, the soft tyre runners, they're committing to staying out to the end now because we passed half distance. Look how wide Simon Frelick, he's taking that same line as Mateusz Micah we saw earlier, and it gives him such a great run through turn 2, the sort of left-hand kink uphill towards turn 3. And now look, Andrzejewski already defending the inside from Simon Frelick, and the more he holds up Frelick, the more it brings Luke Mitchell into play. But look at this, there we go, just swerving across the track is Andrzejewski in any vain attempt to just keep Simon Frelick at bay for just a few meters more and hope that Luke Mitchell will come to sort of rescue him in a sense. But here he comes, round the outside. Simon Frelick, he's got to hold on here, he's got the line, and surely he's going to get the inside here into 6 and 7.
He's not quite 2 wheels ahead, but now he is. He's got to show the domination here. He has it. Simon Frelick leads again. His fight back from the reverse grid. Literally swapping positions were Andrzejewski and Frelick. So now that Frelick has the lead, he'll probably do what Ed says and commit to a 0 stopper on the softs. If you can pull 1 or 2 seconds clear and avoiding the threat of DRS, then that will also bring Luke Mitchell into play. So Andrzejewski, what he's got to do now is stay within a second as best as he can and avoid another strong driver from race 1 from getting past him. But Chris Butcher, with his own experience dating back many years, he'll want himself and King's Racing to be given the plaudits to conclude this evening's action.
Yeah, and you saw Luke Mitchell took a much tighter line than Simon Frelick did the previous lap when he was himself chasing Andrzejewski. And that really compromised his exit, and that's allowed Chris Butcher to just tow and get that little bit closer to the back of the Lunark here. So Luke Mitchell looking for a double podium, but Simon Frelick now is in the box seats to get a double victory, which will be the first time that's happened this season. And Simon Frelick, of course, the runner-up last year, really showing his quality once more. And as I said earlier, it's such a big shame that he, having missed the 5 races in the first part of this season, is about 160 points down on the championship lead. Or less than that, because he won race 1.
Yeah, he's clawed a little bit back. Oh, what? That looked like bikini to me. Could be mistaken, but 10 laps to go.
Sorry.
Oh, it's Russo, beg your pardon, yes.
Oh, and Mike just had to back out there into turn 1, and that potentially brings Ivanov back into play as well. He seemed to take a lot more out of the soft tyres because his charges halted a lot more than Frelick and Mitchell's. But there's every chance that Luke Mitchell could get past Andrzejewski and maybe cause a bit of headaches for Simon Frelick. But the gap 1.5 seconds, it's looking less and less likely now with 9 laps to go that Frelick is going to be beaten the whole day, really. He's dominated both races in terms of the strategy so far, and it's going to take really big tyre wear in the last couple of laps to bring maybe Andrzejewski or Butcher back into this.
Yeah, Butcher in particular, this is a hefty ask at this point. He's got quality in front of him and quality behind. And then whatever Russo can do after that mistake that cost him the precious time, but he's still able to stay just about within a second. Oh, that was Mitchell getting hot into the second to last and then into the last again. So all of a sudden the tires on Mitchell's Lunark are giving up very, very rapidly, and that's an easy pass for Chris Butcher.
Yeah, but he had to get the move done into turn 1, and that slightly compromised his line, like we saw from Mitchell a few laps ago. And this could allow him to tow himself. He's going to have to try and go around the outside because Butcher's hogging the inside here into turn 3 and refuses to give up that hard-fought position. Butcher desperately wants to get on the podium after really race 1 did not really go to plan for him at all, and he got bullied out of the way earlier. Now Mike Quint's getting involved as well. I think you're right. Luke Mitchell has just pushed those softs a little bit too far, and now Quint's going to punish him.
Yeah, he's got the inside line for turn 6, so he'll grab that with both hands. But there's a last stand from Mitchell. He's doing it with bravery, but I'm afraid it's just too much to ask. And Mike Quint on his own challenge for the double podium, as that was a wide from Russo. Alpha Delta not quite able to maximize their points in this race too, but they're still in belief here at the 8th and the 11th, kicking up dust there. Once again, Micah. So even off his chance to close down on Quint, he's got to make this stick. He'll go around the outside. And he nails it. Lovely stuff, but of course, yeah, it's not over yet with that DRS open for both drivers. There's a chance.
Deliberately not giving Micah a tow here.
Yeah, Russo wants to get past himself. He has a nose cone just in sight there, but also Frank Hamming. So now we have a race on our hands with the drivers doing their utmost to pick off any slack driving that we see. Oh, there's understeer for Russo.
Yeah, Russo making a lot of mistakes and just putting too much energy through the tyres, I think. So even the hards are starting to struggle. Some of the drivers late on as Frank Hamming just slots in front of Russo. Russo goes wide, and now Filin is going to get involved as well. So Russo, who was running right near the front at the start of this race in second on the grid, is being shuffled back down the pack then. But Andrzejewski still holding on from Butcher to the tune of 8/10 of a second. And Luke Mitchell still just about holding on to the back of Mike Quint by 3/10 of a second then. So those we expect to drop down, holding on gamely and trying to get as many points out of this as they can. In fact, Andrzejewski sets personal best lap of the race, 1:13.3. Butcher sets a response of his own personal best, 3/10 quicker.
Yeah, getting the personal best in at this point. Nothing matter. But whatever Andrzejewski can do to defend from Butcher. Mitchell. Yeah, this is absolutely crucial now, and you can see Ivanov wants the top 5. He's gone onto the grass. Oh, well, yeah, that is so close. And Butcher for Kings on the outside, still no way through. And this is one of the fine drives that'll get Andrzejewski's name on the map. So he's just going to keep going for the remaining 6 or 7 laps now. So yeah, this is a good showing, and it could be even better if he hangs on in there for a little bit longer.
Yeah, and that's critical for Ivanov that Mitchell held him up there, because that's really just going to allow Mike Quint to extend the gap around the outside. Fantastic move at the penultimate corner there of the lap, and Ivanov threw it into 5th place despite Luke Mitchell trying to push him off on track on the same lap there and onto the grass. Somehow Ivanov keeps it pointing in a straight line and recovers. Now he's only a place behind Mike Quint, but look, it's all kicking off behind.
Yeah, it's really something else now. Mitchell, he's got to be cautious with potential graining on the rear tires. And Micah, that should be his chance to get through, but the activation of the DRS will potentially finalize it. But the straight line speed here for Mitchell, that's impressive. And a repeat of the trick here. Butcher with another use of the outside line at turn 4, now into 6. He will become the left-handers. He's so close, but it wastes more time. That benefits Freilich. So whatever happens here, they've got to keep it clean with Quint in the horizon. And it's P2 now. Chris Butcher has second place, but Andrzejewski fights back as hard as possible. But with the single file nature of the final 2 corners, Chris Butcher is through with 5 laps remaining. And Mike Quint next on the agenda to take Hyperion's bid for the podium away.
Yeah, there was fantastic dueling between Andrzejewski and Butcher, but look, the rears have given up, and if he had just let Butcher through, he might have had a bit of a gap to Mike Quint, but now because he decided to fight, it's actually worked against him here. Or can he go back around the outside with the DRS here into turn 3? Mike Quint has got the inside line and just about has the overlap and the traction on exit to snatch that podium away from Hyperion then. So Andrzejewski putting on a great show, but it's not gone his way in the end as, oh dear, Muscat has hit trouble.
Trouble for the team boss down at Multiforce. So he has fallen out of the points. 13th was where he sat, and now fortunately he's 18th. And the contest for the final point, Raboli, and I think
Gil Hausvik, yeah.
Gil Hausvik, yes, they're going head to head. Well, here is the replay for Jason. We'll just go what's going on here in the battle with Harry Smith. Oh, he tagged him. Straight tag in the back, I'm afraid. And that, I think, allowed Robin Mulling ahead of Harry Smith.
Oh, that's really unlucky for Jason Muscat. And Smith as well, he just got caught out, much like we saw Chris Butcher do when he was fighting with Savily in race 1. And there's Luke Mitchell. He's dropped to 10th now. So those softs are really fading away, and still they've got to do 3 more laps. So Bunak are going to be very, very... They were looking at a podium earlier on. Now I think they'll be quite fortunate, and that really puts into perspective the job that Freilich has done to pull 4.2 seconds ahead of Butcher on very, very worn soft tyres.
It is just sensational performance in both the race 1 and race 2 for Freilich. And now we'll check out Raboli versus Gil Hausvik.
No DRS for Eoin.
Oh yeah, he's a little bit exposed there, but he has the switchback. He may have planned that ahead of time, but he is unfortunately, a small contact, and he actually lurches to the outside, and he keeps it within the racing surface, and Raboli still clawing everything he can out of his car. And here is Damien Cardas as well for this stunning battle for just 1 championship point, but it means a lot to all these drivers. The Raboli down. Yeah,
no
Raboli down now.
Gil Hausvik, isn't it? Because he's tasted those 2 points. He wants 1 more, as we see Lucchini just passing Luke Mitchell there into turn 1. So the rears have just completely faded away now. And Mitchell's purely relying on straight line speed to try and stay in these fights here. And surely he's not going to have anything once he gets to turn 3, and indeed he does back off. But yeah, Gil Hausvik fighting absolutely tooth and nail, and Mitchell just barges into the side, almost in desperation there with lack of traction on exit.
Yeah, he's just got to commit to this strategy, I'm afraid. Hitting, would have cost him a lot of time if he did it at the halfway point. So, yeah, I still think he'd be happy with a 14th position finish, because I'd say Harry Smith, if he gains on him a second a lap, then yeah, it will be a gimme. We're heading towards the 23rd and penultimate lap around the Red Bull Ring. Now that the championship has brought this venue back after a year away, it is going to be a sweep for Freilich as things currently stand, having taken 7th place on this reverse grid. He has just vaulted through and used those soft tires to the best possible effect. Now I have Robin Mulling, who wants to pick off Amari Watson here. Amari Watson, of course, an outside bet for a title bid. If things can improve for him for next week on, then it's still possible. But yeah, Watson, after that streak of third places in the first 4 rounds, it's not been quite as convincing for him. Today, unfortunately, is probably his weakest weekend of the season thus far.
Yeah, just not a strong weekend for Netrex whatsoever, and it absolutely plays into the hands of Multiforce, it must be said, even with Jason Muscat having that helpful tap from the back from Harry Smith to help Netrex just limit the damage in the team's championship. Muscat, by the way, setting the fastest lap of the race, 112.1 on fresh soft tyres, but the most impressive to me is Frelick, who just set a 12.7 on 22 lap old tyres. He's now just followed up with a 12.9. Absolutely pushing to get the gap to Chris Butcher to 5 seconds, just in case he runs out of tyres on the very, very final lap of the race. But Butcher himself is completely concerned about Mike Quint, who's within 4/10 of him, and is absolutely harassing him because Quint wants yet another second place. So it's turning into a rerun of race 1 almost. As look at this, Noah caught around the outside of Massimiliano Riboli and extending a little bit beyond the limits of the track as well. But unfortunately for Eoin Kilhausvik, Cardass has just nicked the final point away from him for Griffon.
Yeah, so Griffon should be absolutely buzzing with this. They've got the first and the 15, so they are well noted in this race, and it will fought them well in this team's championship battle. So we're almost there. Frelick will claim the second checkered flag today, and that will be one of the finest showings. I know I've seen him last season as well, TOP, but it's been utterly dominant, and it's splendid for Shimon. He's the comprehensive winner this round 8 of the championship bed, and I can't take that away from whatsoever.
No, not at all. But look at this, very close between Hamming and Micah for 6th, but Micah just holds on to I think that's his joint best result then, as we see there. Kilhausvik dropping to 17th behind Noah Court. So Court doing well to hold in at the end there, just missing out on the final point to Cardass by 4/10 of a second though. So his dad John Court was cheering him on there, but Noah unfortunately just running out of time to make that final move there. But for Kings Racing, it's delight for them because Butcher takes their first podium of the season in second there. So that's crucial points for them. We saw Lunart get a podium, and now Kings have matched it in race 2. But for Mike Quint, 3rd over Ivanov's 5th, that is another 4 points in their championship. So I think 59 points is the gap now between Quint and Ivanov in the Drivers' Championship. So this has been a very good weekend for Multiforce GP, even though Griffon have dominated in the form of Simon Frelick.
That's very true, yeah. But Griffon, for the current situation there, they're not really set to compete too much for the team's championship trophy, but yet certainly they'll be rising up the standings thanks to Frelick and his 4th win in 6 entries, I think it is, something like that. So he's got an incredible substitution record here. And Chris Butcher, using that knowledge from 2021, for example, he gets the P2, and Kings, they'll be absolutely buzzing with that. And then it's P3 for Mike Quint to get the double podium. Pavel Andrzejewski got that reverse grid pole, but just misses out. A very strong drive, though, has to be said. He held on for as long as possible in the lead. Victor Ivanov, a tricky race 1 for him. He had to rebound from that, and he did so with a very impressive 5th. The top 10 from 6th place down, it's Micah, Hamming, Tylene, Russo, and Watson. The final set of points will go to Lucchini, Mulling, Smith, Mitchell, and Cardass. Really good showing there for several teams. Alpha Delta getting double points, for example, and of course Griffon should be very pleased with another 21 points or thereabouts. Noah Court gets the love from his father in chat, so well done to Noah, almost getting a point. Kilhausvik wasn't the double up for 100 to 1, but yeah, their championship is well and truly underway, and they'll be giving VMS Sunedit some headaches now heading into Britain. Riboli, Dabrowski, and Sellers in the top 20. And then we have Jason Muscat. I think, yeah, he's 20th. So, yeah, a little bit of a glitch with the timing there. But yeah, Muscat was the last classified driver after getting hit and losing his front wing.
Lost Dabrowski in 21st. That's what's happened.
Yeah, Dabrowski is 21st. Yeah, so that kind of jumbles up things. But Karatko, Scott, Lawless, DeVries, and Knox did not see the checkered flag, which is unfortunate. But they'll try again, hopefully in the next round. So there we have it. There's definitely the excitement heading into the interview room, Ed. It's been 6 weeks since the last appearance for me in the question side of the Q&A. So yeah, let's hopefully get some drivers. I'm sure Eoin Philhauser could be among them if he wishes to come forward. He'd be my nominee for an interview. But yeah, Freilich, for example, we've talked to him plenty, and yeah, I'll be delighted to hear from him again. Now he's a winner for yet another team.
Yeah, it's either those two or Justin Van der Smissen. Those tend to be the three that are the most talkative when it comes to wanting to be interviewed by, as everyone else tends just to immediately go home. It could also be the heat's keeping them all away. Although, as I say that, the interview room just gets populated. But I believe officially, Multiforce GP may be ahead of Netrex GP now in the teams table, but we'll have to wait for official confirmation on that.
Yeah, we'll get the stewards. They'll scan the race and make sure any protests and penalties are heard appropriately. So we may not get the final classification for the championship standings just yet, but yeah, we'll definitely.
Who do you want to talk to, Eoin?
Oh, we have a variety now. Let me double check. Oh yeah, so I suppose Chris Butcher. Let's be honest, he was superb with his podium in race 2. So I suppose we'll let him in first. Hello, Chris. Can you hear us?
Hello, I can.
Excellent stuff. So congratulations on a podium for Kings Racing in that second race. You've got plenty of experience around here. So how did it feel this evening?
Yeah, I think I need to start with a huge apology to Tom, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. A bit of race rustiness there, I think. And, you know, I just kind of from my point of view, it looked like I was nowhere near the rear of his car, and then I kind of watched it back on the replay, and my nose cone was all the way under his diffuser. So, you know, just a total misjudgment on my part, and I can't really apologise enough for that. So yeah, that kind of put a dampener on the whole thing, to be honest with you. But coming into it, I felt relatively competitive. It's been a while since I've done any sort of racing on R Factor 2, so I was just sort of hoping for some decent points finishes, really. And you know, if I could sneak a podium, even, you know, that'd have been a bonus, which I managed to do in race 2. So I can't really complain about the results. But yeah, a bit disappointed myself in race 1, to be honest.
I think, in fairness, we did see you winding backwards to make sure Tom got the position in the first collision, but unfortunately at the second one, Ed was correct. He did make the point that the latency may have made a difference, because you might not have known you were that close, and yeah, that was really unfortunate. But yeah, at least you do apologise as best you can, so hopefully that'll be sorted out. But yeah, I was certainly impressed with how race 2 went for you. Head-to-head battles with Lunark, and of course there was Micah as well, all very strong. Or Andrzejewski, I think in race 2 was really good.
Sorry, you cut out there. I didn't quite hear everything, but I kind of got the gist of what you were saying, I think. But yeah, I can't believe how insane Freilich is on those soft tyres. That was absolutely ridiculous. And when I saw him starting on those, and I kind of thought, you know, if I can hold him up for a little bit, you know, because I was fully expecting him to have to pit. I was thinking, you know, if I can hold him up a little bit, there's no way he makes this strategy work. And then he went and, you know, did the whole race on those tyres. So, you know, fair play to him. He did really well to do that. You know, there was a little bit of a naughty moment where he collided with me in the hairpin and forced me off the track, and I kind of had to give up some time because I got the illegal overtaking game warning, even though I was the one being overtaken. I'm not really sure how that works, but yeah, you know, it's all good. His pace was ridiculous, and even without that, I wouldn't have been able to hold him back, really, I don't think. So yeah, pretty decent. Enjoyed some close racing in the second race. Learned from my mistakes in the first one. So yeah, not too bad.
And Chris, were you worried about Mike Quinton at the end of race 2? Because obviously he's the championship leader by a pretty significant margin now, so he couldn't really afford to trip up over you. Was that in the back of your mind of thinking, right, if I just move around a bit, he'll back out? Or were you thinking, right, this guy's really quick, I need to keep on my toes here?
No. Do you know what? I know Mike quite well. We get on well. He's part of the THR stable of drivers as well. And there was a small part of me that kind of wanted to let him go, but then obviously I wanted a good result for myself too. So I wasn't really worried. You know, we're both sensible drivers, I think. You know, and it's just a case of being fair, really, not making any ridiculous moves, which I think we're both mature enough not to do. So yeah, there was no concerns really. I trusted him. I hope he trusts me as well. And yeah, it was all okay in the end.
And a final question from me, Chris. Where can we next see you racing, either in FS1 or one of the other GPV categories?
I'll probably be back in FS1 at some point. I think probably for Kings again.
Kings,
I mean, obviously, Scott and Jack are both very busy people outside of sim racing too. So, you know, it's just a fact of life. You know, work and stuff comes before this. So yeah, probably maybe 1 or 2 more appearances for Kings in FS1 maybe, and you know, Super League potentially if Tom Stevens or Adam Maguire decide to not turn up again for a race for some random reason. So we'll see.
Yeah, I might have questions myself, Chris. So excellent to have you in the interview room, and we hope to see you again very soon.
Thank you very much.
And our race winner, Shimon Freilich, is in the waiting room now, so it makes sense to me that he should get the turn next. Hey, Shimon, congratulations on your double victories. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Very good, yeah. So which win would you prefer to talk about?
Well, the race 2 one was more eventful, but I like to go chronologically.
Yes.
I mean, first of all, qualifying was yeah, my lap was not the best. I lost about 2/10 in the middle sector, but it still pulled it by 1/10.5, which was a bit surprising. And then in the first race, I just didn't look back. After completing my first stint, I was surprised I have a 10-second gap, and yeah, I just carried it to the end. I don't know how to describe that race one. It was very weird. I think this might be my biggest winning margin in GPV.
Yeah, we'll certainly have to consult the record books for that. But in race 2, you swapped down to 7th position and had to use your soft tires from lights to flag. How on earth did you pull that off? Because Chris Butcher, just before you, was mystified about how you did it. So let's
we were as well, right?
Well,
yeah, we were as well, of course.
The softs are a peculiar tire, and if you don't slide them, like I wasn't attacking the exits, I was slowly rolling on the throttle. I was just taking it easy in the corners. You can have pretty much the same tire wear as hards, but be quicker. But yeah, you need a lot of tire management to pull that off. And yeah, I was just making my way through the pack because I was able to get the exits out of turn 1, and at one point I had the incident with Chris, which was totally my fault. I just I thought I would have more grip on the brakes than I had, and just went straight into him, kind of pushed him off, and yeah, I'm pretty sure he got an illegal overtake also because he had to go off the track. So I'm very sorry for that. And after I got to first, I knew I had to get a 5-second gap so that if I get a 5-second penalty, I don't lose my win. So by the end, my softs, I don't think I would have been able to do one more lap on those softs.
Just one question from me, Simon. The line you were taking into turn one, I guess we could call it a qualifying line. It's a little bit similar to Barcelona, isn't it? Where everyone's going as wide as they can on entry so they can get the best turn in. And if I believe it, if I'm correct, it also puts a little bit less strain through the tyres, and it means you get a better run out. And we saw you were doing it, but Luke Mitchell right behind you was taking a very, very tight line by comparison on the inside at turn one. And that was sort of meaning that his exits are always consistently a little bit slower than yours, at least initially. Do you think that was the key to why you were absolutely able to get the maximum out of the softs, or do you think it was the rest of the lap where you made more of a difference?
It made a difference while overtaking people, because it meant I was 3 tenths behind someone instead of 4, which definitely helped to get more of a chance on overtaking people. And yeah, at first I didn't think that line would work in the race. Like in quali, it was gaining a tenth if you did it correctly. But yeah, the curve is so bumpy. You have to brake earlier, you have to brake less, and you kind of have to roll it into the corner well. But yeah, during race 1, which was funny, when I saw that I had such a gap to P2, I just started doing that line to check if it's viable to do in the race, and I was managing to hit it consistently, and I was thinking, right, that's a good tactic to use for race 2 for overtaking. So, and the line was a tenth quicker, which helped with the lap times.
I believe you were the only one using it. I noticed that Micah was using it, and then I noticed you were using it, and I thought, well, gee, it's surprising no one else. I think Harry Smith did it once or twice, so I'm being a bit unfair there. So some of the top guys were using it, but others weren't, so it was really interesting. But anyway, that was probably the best pair of races on a single day that I've seen you put together, Simon, so I have to praise a pretty exceptional performance. Well, I saw on lap 22 you were doing personal best, like 12.7s. That was exceptional, that performance, given how warm the tires were at that phase. 2 on the soft tire.
2, yeah, I was pushing to get the 5 seconds. I wanted to make sure, well, not make sure, I don't know if it's I don't know if Chris is going to report it, but you know, if he reports it, it could be a 5, it could be a 10. I was thinking it's going to be more of a 5, so I was pushing to get the 5-second gap.
If it was a 10, would you have gone even faster?
No, it was not possible.
Oh, you do make me wonder sometimes, Simon. What is possible?
This round is up there with the last year's San Marino. Pretty much the same result.
Yeah, same result. Yeah, the perfection. I
think that's also the same reverse grid. 7th.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. There you go. There's a fun fact. Yeah, good memory there, Shimon. Hopefully, are you back in 2 weeks for Britain?
Well, I am a primary driver now, so I will.
Oh, of course. Yeah. You're signed up. I wasn't there.
Gino's not coming back. Don't worry.
Good. Okay. Well, we'll leave it there, Shimon. Congratulations on your double, and we'll see you in 2 weeks then.
Thank you.
I think Pavel, after 4th place in race 2, I think he's worth a chat as well. And then we'll leave Eoin until last.
As always.
Hi, Pavel. Can you hear us?
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hello. So I think Hyperion will be absolutely delighted with how you got on today. The 7th place in race 1. You also benefit from reverse grid, Paul. So what was it like leading from the grid at race 2?
It was quite exhausting, I would tell you. But to be honest, or maybe not honest, I had it in control until Shimon has started overtaking our competitors. When we got into this DRS train, I think I got everything in my hands to win this race. I got the straight line speed, and given that it's partially impossible to overtake in the second sector. I knew that until this DRS train holds and Szymon is not on the third or second place, I can get this win. But unfortunately, my fellow friends in this DRS train didn't follow my plan, and unfortunately, I had to give up this position. Szymon was completely on another level today. He has shown it in first race. The second race also confirmed that he was uncatchable today, and this also means that there is still something that we can find in the setup and try to be more competitive, as well as finally snatch at least a podium or, for example, win in other races.
Pavel, just going back to race 2 again, there was a great battle between yourself and Chris Butcher. Of course, both of you on the same strategy with the hard tyre, and Mike Quint right behind as well. And it felt a little bit like you and Chris fought each other very, very hard. And once you lost that, you tried to stick out around the outside several times. It was very bold of you, I must say. But unfortunately, it sort of ended up working against you because you and Chris held each other up. And that allowed Mike Quint to sort of pick you off quite easily in the end. Do you think maybe if you'd let Chris through and just hung up to the back of him, that maybe you could have held off Mike a bit longer, or did you think that he just had the pace today on you?
Actually, I was a bit worried about the balance and tire wear for the second race, as the first race has shown that I will be having a bit of troubles during the second one, so I have lowered the front wing. This has unsettled the balance of aerodynamic, and this mean that I would be totally uncompetitive in the second sector. So I knew that I need to overtake him or just stay ahead of him, and until this I will be fine. I think I was a bit too harsh on him, too hard. I think we made a little contact with each other on down this third turn, I think. Yeah, it could be. So if he feels offended by that, I'm sorry to him, but
he didn't mention it. He seemed fine with it.
Okay, that's really good. But yeah, I think there's still something to find. There's still something to work on, and this is good experience. I see that our setup is not as competitive as our rivals, so I think we need still sit to the drawing desk and try to find this small bits that will put us to the top tier.
And I suppose to conclude, Pavel, my last question is the same one I asked Szymon, and is that, will you be back in 2 weeks for the British Grand Prix?
We will see, because I don't know how it will, who will be racing in Hyperion, because the holiday season has started. So I don't know if other drivers will be available in 2 weeks or not. I am in talks with one team, so it's possible that I will take a primary role in another team, but it's not sealed. It's not granted for now. And we will see. It's 2 weeks time. It's a long of time.
I hear 100 to 1 has a second seat going, given that the only field is one car today.
Yeah. Let's start the auction. Who gives more?
Yeah, that's the summer transfer window is open. So any team managers interested in a fine driver services, then you can do worse than Pavel. So Pavel, great to meet you. Sure. Take care, Pavel. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Bye-bye. And I suppose our last and certainly not least interviewee, it's the people's champion, Eoin Kvil-Hausvik. So let's bring him in. Hey, Eoin, congratulations. How are you feeling after getting those priceless points on the board?
Bro, I'm so happy. I'm so relieved to finally be able to get points for the team. Like we've been working hard, finally find out what I've been missing. And I think for the most part in the other races, it's been having a setup and also the tires, actually not killing them every race. And we've had a plan now for race 1, and I've had some help from Menno Klont. He's been giving me tips and all that, and like shout out to him. And we've been practicing a bit together, and like it's helped me a lot. And together we kind of like found a plan for me for that first race, and it went smooth, and I'm so happy that I got these points. And it was actually in race 1, because race 2 has always been the race where I've been closest to the points, you know. And having this race 1 result is like it helps with the morale, I guess, for the team and all that. And you know, I think there's more weight to it than just turning a 0 to a 2. I think you know, having to battle these guys, I want to do it more. Be in that top 15, you know, and I hope we can continue to get some better momentum for the coming races as well.
Well, I can tell you, Eoin, you are ahead of Jack Nichols in the Drivers' Championship.
That's
so
crazy.
He's got 1 point, you've got 2. And you're only 2 points behind VMS Sunedit in the teams table. So I'm sure Ben Constantine is going to be absolutely thrilled to get off the mark finally. Tell us a little bit about race 1, because obviously you were on sort of the same strategy as the leaders, weren't you? And you were fighting with some very quick drivers, like Frank Hamming was going through from the very back of the grid. Victor Ivanov had that early drive-through penalty for jumping the start, and you had Jason Muscat, you know, a former race winner around here, actually at the Red Bull Ring, that was on your tail throughout that final stint and trying to put pressure on you. And so tell us about how you dealt with that, obviously, because we know you had so many near misses, didn't you? Imola and Spain come to mind in both the race 2s there, where you just had it taken away in the closing stages by another driver. And it must have been a huge relief to cross the line, especially under so much pressure, having fought and kept up with some very, very quick drivers today.
Yeah, I mean, it was just there was so much nerves on that starting grid after qualifying that well. I didn't expect to qualify that well. Like I qualified like P14 in Canada, but that was like me focusing on qualifying. And I come here and I've done some qualifying laps here and there, but I didn't think it was anything special. But it was a good start to the day, and being there in like P15, and I was like, oh shit, this might be the day. It was set up so nicely. I have actually a plan. Like, that's a new thing for 100 to 1. We had a plan this race. That's crazy. And yeah, having to battle these guys was a lot of fun as well. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what all these guys have achieved. I haven't been paying that much attention like the time that I was away from this league. But I recognize the names from having heard them from commentary or whatever, or maybe raced them before. So I knew I was among a lot of good drivers. So what I just had to like remember that I'm a good driver as well. Like, saying to my head. Yeah. So yeah, just all that made it so we could get points. All this, the plan, the good start with the qualifying, and yeah, I'm so tired now. I was sweating a lot as well. It's so hot suddenly in Norway. I think all of Europe as well.
Well, not over here, I'm afraid. Oh, and it's quite chilly over in Ireland anyway.
Okay.
Mr. Harmon here hasn't stopped talking about it all.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Make you feel
national
jealous.
pastime to moan about the weather.
But going back to Eoin, should we talk very, very briefly about race 2? I'm not sure how much there is to say, but you were just holding on to the final point for a couple of moments there, and I think you just lost it to one of the Parallax Volpino drivers right at the end, didn't you? So again, it's another tale of what could have been. No, I think it was Noah Court, wasn't it, who just got you on the final lap, isn't it? So you're in some very, very heavy battles once more, but unfortunately it was just a couple of places outside what you needed to repeat the race 1 feat then. But nonetheless, I think having got the points, in the bag, it must have taken some of the pressure off you.
Yeah, of course. But it's kind of funny that race 2 still ended up with being just behind the points. but I'll still take it. Like I finished that second race, and I was thinking like, yeah, it's so close. It's a shame. Could have gotten 3 points. Wow, but it is what it is. It's still a great day, and but what happened in race 2 was there wasn't as much kind of like practice for these conditions I did on that fuel level and on hards, because I was like fully planned on race 1, but for race 2 it was kind of like just put on hards and see what happens, go as hard as I can, and I think I went a bit too hard. But looking back at it, I think if I let that pixelate car of I'm forgetting the names now, but if I had let him by maybe and just stayed in that DRS and maybe not killed the tires then, and just, you know, because I was battling him and pushing so hard. Riboli.
Mhm.
Of course. And if I just maybe like chilled in his DRS for a bit and pushed at the end, maybe would have gone better, because there was a point where I was so close to the DRS train right in front of me, but it was like maybe a few tenths until I was in that DRS range. But the Riboli behind me was, you know, he was fast, so I was thinking like maybe on the straight I shouldn't give that much of a fight and just kind of put him between me and the DRS train. So I'm actually in that DRS train because he was kind of rapid. But you know, I kept battling and just missed out on the points and finished P17. So, but yeah, it's all eyes on the race 1. That's what I'm gonna remember this track for, this day for.
And rightly so. So looking forward to the rest of the season. What's the goal? Now you've got the not the monkey off your back, so to speak, but now you've finally got the team off the mark. What's the target for you? Do you think it's to get those a few extra points and beat VMS Sun at its racing, or is it just to see how high you can finish in the Drivers' Championship?
I like to think more about the team championship, but we're only kind of fighting VMS after half the year. But, you know, for me, the goal is just to see if I can be in that top 15 fight consistently and, you know, continue gaining experience and hoping to get faster and just staying there and hoping that it isn't just like a one-off, that I was able to keep up with these guys. And, yeah, I'm just hoping for consistency, and we'll just see what happens in the driver standings. And hopefully we'll get past VMS as a team.
Great to hear. But from your perspective, anyway, I'm sure VMS will be annoyed to hear that you're going to keep pushing and not just say, right, 2 points, that's it, we're done. I also have to say, I felt really bad because the last 3 races I beat you up a lot, and he seemed immediately after I would say, oh, this could be a great chance for Eoin Kilhalsvik, immediately something would go wrong, and I'm so glad that didn't happen today. So at least in race 1 anyway.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to finally get them points.
Yeah, as well you should be on. So it's more than good for Mr. OK. So thanks very much for your time, and hopefully will you be around in 2 weeks?
Yes, thank you.
Of course. No bother. Have a good one, OK? Yeah, so that's the People's Champion. Completes our interview segment.
We've been here to see 2 historic moments this season. Menno Klont winning in Imola and Eoin Kilhalsvik getting 100 to 1's first ever points.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, and Simon Frelick winning 2 races in a row. But yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of by the way.
I'll take that as a bit of a given due to Simon's quality. But yeah, it's just a reflection now that we're halfway through the championship. The first 8 rounds are in the bag. So how do you feel it's gotten on so far?
Well, it's been really, really interesting. It's sort of gone back and forth, especially in the teams between Netrex and Multiforce GP. And we see MS Performance sort of some bad luck certainly creeping in, but also some mistakes even of jumping the start. That's really unlike him, isn't it? And yeah, I think his pace was still definitely there though. And yeah, so the last 2 races didn't go quite as badly as potentially they could have done with him still scraping some points. But Quint, that momentum, it's going to be so hard to shake now. He's got a nearly 60-point lead in the Drivers' Championship. So Ivanov is really going to have to get his head down over the final 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 races.
That's
yes.
it,
So, yeah, he's given himself quite a lot of work to do. But if anyone can do it, it certainly is Viktor Ivanov. And as for the teams table, you'd be a fool to count out NetRex at this point, especially with Multiforce. They had to get Muscat to sub in. Muscat did get a couple of points here and there, but it was really all about Quint at the moment. So as long as Watson and Smith, even though they didn't have a stellar pair of races today, as long as they keep scoring, then they've got a great chance of maybe holding on to it. So yeah, we'll have to see when Menno comes back for the next race how that battle works out. But yes, fascinating stories up and down the field. And I think Hammy having that recovery drive in race 1 was also a nice little subplot there too. So Hamming still just about in reach of the championship, albeit he's going to be about 30 points down, I think, or 20 to 30 points down on Ivanov come the final calculations at the end of this one. But yeah, great to see Luke Mitchell and Chris Butcher as well on the podium as well, because both of them really deserved it in the races that they got it, because they had to work really hard for those.
Yeah, for sure, Ed. So yeah, well put. And yeah, the fact that Grifone have that star driver in the ranks now means that they're well clear of that battle in the mid-table in the team's championship. So they've pulled clear, but it is still very tense as Hyperion, Parallax Alpino, Lunark, and now Kings are all really heating up to try and
don't forget Pixelate as well.
Yeah, Pixelate, of course. Yeah, so they're all trying to get firmly into the 3 digits. That's one to watch as well. But yeah, we can certainly keep the momentum going as we head to the British Grand Prix in a fortnight's time. But for this evening, from the Red Bull Ring, we're all out of time, I'm afraid. But from myself, Eoin Harmon, from Ed Hunter beside me, and Remco Zeeuw in the broadcast direction, it's been a very, very enjoyable pair of races, and we hope to see you again in 2 weeks. So goodbye for now.